stands, make no mistake about it, the pageantry of college football still fills the air. The atmosphere is electric because there's going to be a football game today in Durham, and that in itself is pretty special. For Duke, this will be a historic home opener, while Boston College begins the Jeff Hafley era in Chestnut Hill. Week 2 of college football kicks off right now. Eagles, Blue Devils, live from Tobacco Road. And today's telecast of ACC football is presented by your local Ford dealer. Wallace Wade Stadium, the site of our game this afternoon, the 8th all-time meeting between the Boston College Eagles and the Duke Blue Devils. The teams have not met since 2015. And it is so great to have you with us for college football in the ACC. Tom Wormy along with Dave Archer. Lindsey Rowley will join us in just a moment. Dave, it is great to see you. It's great to be here. All the credit in the world belongs to the conference, the schools in the ACC, our production crew. Everybody has worked so hard so we could play college football today.
Well, we've all been chomping at the bit, Tom, to get here. All of us, broadcasters, crew members, and certainly these two football teams. These are ones already played at Notre Dame. Duke did last week. BC waiting for their opportunity to get on the field. You can bet, and you can feel it really from the field. The players are really cranked up to go.
Dave, you mentioned that game on the road at Notre Dame for Duke. A lot of positives came out of that loss, including the play of the quarterback, Chase Brice.
Well, Chase Brice is a kid they felt pretty good about. In fact, David Cutcliffe said, I recruited this kid in high school. He just didn't come here. He went to Clemson. 25 games in his career at Clemson, but last week's start at Notre Dame was his first time in starting a football game since the state championship game in 2016 in the state of Georgia. Chase Brice can be a really good player here. What he's going to have to do, get a lot more people involved this week.
Across the way, Phil Jurkovec will be the quarterback for Boston College. First game in an Eagles uniform. He's a transfer from Notre Dame, and he is a hearty star to watch.
Well, Jurkovec is a guy that we don't have as many data points on. Really, just 6 games at Notre Dame as a young player, transfers to Boston College, and here's his opportunity. This is a kid that was celebrated in high school. Pine Richland High School in Western PA have 11,000 yards of total offense. 3,000 of those came on the ground, and I think that's important today because I think the big running back will hurt you on the ground as well.
And for more on the BC quarterback, we go to the third member of our broadcast team, Lindsey Rowley.
Thanks so much, Tom. Well, when Phil Jurkovec first got to Boston College, he said one of the things that he considered when he was transferring was that he really wanted a coach that would believe in him. Well, today, Jeff Hafley is showing his faith in Phil by giving him the start. This morning, I was told that Phil won the start because he displayed all of the traits that the coaching staff was looking for, including leadership and the fact that he not only has a strong arm, but he can also run the ball. When looking back at his time at Notre Dame, Phil said that he really felt he didn't get the opportunity to showcase what he can do. Well, here today, that all changes. Guys?
Lindsey, thank you. We look forward to your reports throughout the afternoon here in Durham. On the left, Jeff Hafley, first year as the Boston College head coach and first year as a head coach at the collegiate level. And David Cutcliffe in his 13th season leading the Blue Devils, 19th overall for Cutcliffe, whose team went 5-7 a season ago and 3-5 in conference play. As we lead you up to kickoff, it's now time to take a look at today's keys to the game, brought to you by your local Ford dealer with Dave Archer.
Yeah, it's all about Boston College being physical. They want to come after you and get after you up front. It's an all ACC offensive line. Easy for me to say. They're physical. They get after you up front. And on the Duke side of the ball, I think they need to stay on schedule. They're still trying to find the playmakers on this team. So Chase Brice going to have to be very judicious as to where he throws the football to try to stay on schedule, to not allow BC to come after him with some exotic blitzes.
So the numbers for Brice a week ago, Dave, 20 of 37, threw for 259 yards in his debut for Duke, a rushing TD as well. Take us inside those numbers, Dave. What did you think of the performance from Brice, who had so much experience, but as a backup at Clemson?
Yeah, the number one thing, Tom, that stuck out was that he took care of the ball. He did not turn the football over, which was nice. He also added a little bit of a run game, actually ran for a touchdown at Notre Dame. That'll be something they'll need to see. Remember, Daniel Jones, who's a celebrated quarterback here at Duke, brought that double threat to this football team over the years. They'd like to see Chase Brice bring some of that, but make no mistake, he is a pocket passer that can cut you up. It'll be interesting to see how he distributes the football to his weapons today.
So Boston College will kick it away. Damon Filia-Johnson, deep man for the Blue Devils, who lost last Saturday on the road at number 10 Notre Dame, 27-13. They put up 334 yards of total offense in the losing effort. 27-13 to the Irish. Boston College and Duke. And this will sail into the end zone to start our game. First game of the season for BC. Bryce has that one game against the Irish under his belt. Blue Devils were solid in that game, but came out with a loss. As we take a look at the impact players, it's brought to you by your local Toyota dealer.
Now, Duke's impact players, Noah Gray, the tight end, outstanding player, had 5 catches, 68 yards against Notre Dame last week. And Will Taylor, the center, very interesting story. Will Taylor came here as a recruit, now the center because of the injury to Jack Wallabaugh, the all-ACC center. These two, quarterback and center, were together in high school.
1st and 10 for the Blue Devils, to the ground and beyond the 30-yard line. That's up to the 33.
A good initial push, just 79 yards rushing a week ago against Notre Dame.
So Deion Jackson with a solid gain on 1st down of 8 yards. They'll try to go up the middle. They run into the BC roadblock short of the 35. It's only a yard.
Yeah, Valdez crashing in off that right defensive end spot to limit that and keep it short of the 1st down. So now Duke going to counter with bigger people, get a couple of tight ends in the game. This is where Chase Bryce's ability to run the football, Tom, has to come into play. You'd like to see him throw it from the pocket, but in the run game, if they want to run zone read, he has to be a part of that.
Yeah, Blue Devils were 12th in the conference in 3rd down conversions a season ago, and just 4 of 15 a week ago. And they're not going to get this one. Driven back by the Boston College defense. There is no gain.
Yeah, just outstanding surge. Once again, Valdez, 97 is going to be involved. See him crashing down from that outside. He's a part of the mix. A number of, it's just a host of Boston College players, and they're going to force, after a really good 1st down play, Duke's going to have to punt a 3 and out.
Porter Wilson will have to punt for the Blue Devils on their opening series. Remember, they picked up 8 yards on that 1st down play, but now 4th down for the Blue Devils with the punting unit. Right near the 20 and a violent collision. Coverage from the Blue Devils on the punt.
Listen to this hit. Jalen Stinson, the freshman from Opelika, Alabama, comes down to make the play. How about having a nice play on his first game here at Wallace Wade?
After that 39-yard punt. And now from the 19, 1st and 10, Boston College. Their first taste of action on offense this season for the Eagles. 6 and 7 a year ago. Made it to the Birmingham Bowl and lost to Cincinnati. They're going to go to the ground game, go around the edge and close to the 1st down near the 30-yard line.
Yeah, big David Bailey getting around the edge. He had an outstanding year a year ago, backing up A.J. Dillon. Just a good job. Just a stretch play here. He's looking for a crease, no crease. Now he'll use his speed as a big back, 240 pounds, getting to the edge. I thought Duke stood up really well, Tom, last week against Notre Dame up front, but gave up some yards there.
Dave, impact players, Boston College, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer.
Well, that offensive line, all ACC across the front wall, you can bet they're going to lean on that offensive line here.
Buying a little bit of time, dumping it off. Now across the 40-yard line and close to the 45 for BC. That's a 14-yard play.
Yeah, just 10 catches last year for Bailey out of the backfield last week. This is a little screen play fake, and then you're going to screen to the play faking back. See the 2 offensive linemen get out in front, Vrabel out in front, Petrula out in front. Just a piece of those defenders, and then Bailey again shows his speed to step around some Duke defenders.
Bailey last year running for 844 yards in total and 7 rushing touchdowns. As the returning leading rusher for BC with the departure of A.J. Dillon. Just beyond the 45, there's only 2 yards there for Boston College.
Now Chris Frump in on the tackle, number 96. Talk about our impact players, Toyota impact players. Chris Rump, we just mentioned, he's a guy that's a next level player, no question about it. And what a story Mark Gilbert is, Tom. Mark Gilbert played in his first game last week. 734 games since the corner had played. He had numerous injuries. Outstanding player prior to the injury, back on the field. Excited for him.
Yeah, had 7 tackles last week against the Irish, and stumbling down on the rush for Boston College's David Bailey.
734 days, that's a long time to go without being able to load it up and play football if that's what you do.
Had to fight those leg injuries on a couple of occasions. 6 career interceptions as well for Gilbert back in that secondary for the Blue Devils. And now it's 3rd and 7 for Boston College.
Now this is an opportunity now to get after them up front. They've gone to a 3-man look here with Rovers walking around. This makes it tough for BC to locate who they're responsible for in protection.
BC was 5th in the conference last year on 3rd down. They'll pick this one up inside the 40, and still running for Boston College on the play. All the way down inside the 15-yard line.
Well, nice job by Zay Flowers to get clean to the inside. Let's take a look at Phil Jerkovich. Jerkovic looks to that left side, finds that early slant route to Zay Flowers, and then Flowers, how about the run after the catch? It's made Duke look a little bit silly trying to get him to the ground, but got 3 plays now that have netted first downs.
35 yards previous play, and Boston College now in the CPI Security red zone inside the 15-yard line. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage or so for the Eagles.
Well, Travis Levy, who now slides into that number 2 back spot for Bailey when you want to spell the big back. Bailey 236, 200 or so pounds, and then you get more of a scat back, and Levy comes in, who's about 195 pounds, so a little bit of thunder and lightning potentially, but Bailey's shown a little lightning in his rear end so far.
Levy over 1,000 all-purpose yards a season ago, playing in 13 games for the Eagles. 2nd and 10. Trying to stretch it out. Down near the 5 and tumbling on down on the punishing run. Absorbing some contact is David Bailey.
Boy, just doing a really good job of getting hats on hats now. I want you to watch the outstanding run by Bailey to get to the edge. The offensive line really coming off the ball, but watch Hunter Long, number 80. There he gets the key block to the outside, which makes this about another 7 or 8 yards on the run. So good initial blocking by that outstanding offensive line, and then the tight end Hunter Long doing his job on the perimeter.
Waters had to make the tackle there. Now 3rd and 3 for BC. Trying to go up the middle into the pile. Have to see if that's enough for Boston College. They'll mark him at about the 4-yard line. 2 yards on the play for the Eagles and Coach Hafley.
Been an impressive drive so far. Got your young quarterback involved. It made a nice couple of easy throws, a slant route, a screen, got him kind of going. And Bailey, with his big offensive line, we kind of had an idea that was where they were going to lean, is let the big back get in behind the offensive line. And so far they've controlled the line of scrimmage. But here, big conversion situation right here.
4th and 1 for Boston College. They went for it on 4th down 24 times last year and made it 13 times. Jerkovic going forward for the first down, close to the 1-yard line. And Dave, if you've got an offensive line like that, why not? 3 yards, 1st and goal.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that your quarterback's 6'5", 230 pounds. Just going to lean in behind, get in behind Alec Lindstrom. Just an outstanding push with this wedge blocking up front. Good push.
Boston College threatening. There is a Duke player down.
Looks like Derek Tangelo, their outstanding defensive tackle, down on the play.
I got this mountain bike for only $11.
Deal
Been dreaming about this car since you were 8 policy from American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
All is brought to you by CPI Security. So 7:59 to go in the first quarter. And Coach Cutcliffe's team being pushed back to its own goal line. There was an injury on the previous play.
Yeah, Derek Tangelo, number 54, is just getting, you can see him right in the middle of the pile, just kind of folded up. You get caught up in that pile. That's going to bring in the freshman Christian Rory to take over at the defensive tackle spot. Tangelo did limp off, but did have some assistance limping off, so hope he's okay. He's one of their veteran players, senior, played 35 games for David Cutcliffe. So now the depth gets tested for Duke. Just a bunch of freshmen really backing up a number of their starters.
10th play of the drive for Boston College near the goal line and in for the touchdown. BC strikes first. They drive it down the field and Bailey finishes it off.
Yeah, kind of a bully of a drive, wasn't it, Tom? This was just one of those where you leaned in on your offensive line, had a couple of completions. Certainly the Zay Flowers catch and run certainly put him in position to do this, but it was about their offensive line and the big running back Bailey coming right at you.
So the 10th career rushing touchdown for David Bailey. Took it in from short yardage. Interesting formation by Boston College here. Yeah, they'll get in the proper spots now, Dave, for the extra point.
Well, it's just one of those deals. If you don't line up right, we'll take a free 2 points. And Duke defended it properly, so they'll kick the normal extra point in.
No problem for Danny Longman. Coach Hafley's team, Dave, drives it right down the field. First points of the game.
Big back coming right at you. Can you stop us? Not on this drive. BC takes the lead, 7-0.
The "You've been dreaming about this car since you were 8" policy from American Family Insurance.
Their first possession of the season for the Eagles. They drive it 81 yards on 10 plays, and they're in the end zone as Bailey capped it off.
Well, if you're going to dial up a first drive of the season, this would be it. Bailey runs for 11 on first down. Then you set up the screen to Bailey again. Got in behind his offensive line, much like he did in the run game on the screen play. And then Zay Flowers, how about this run after catch? Quick slant route. And then the big power back gets in behind Petrula and Vrabel and shoves it in the end zone again.
As we look at today's 5-star drive summary, it's brought to you by Yellowwood. Bailey on the bike and in the end zone for the Eagles, Dave.
Yeah, you got to keep those pistons working now. Don't want them to seize up on you.
Eighth rushing touchdown of Bailey's career. And if BC is going to be successful this season, they will expect him to be in the end zone on numerous occasions. This one just got past the 20 on the return for Duke.
That's really a big play, really, when you start thinking about it for BC. Phil Johnson was number 2 in the country in kickoff return, so that's a play in itself. You're going to kick it to that kid, he can put it in the other end zone in a hurry. So good job by BC in coverage there.
Phil Johnson had a couple of kick return touchdowns a season ago for the Blue Devils. Second possession, 7:42 to go in the first. For Duke and Chase Bryce. The Clemson transfer. That went into a little bit of traffic, deflected away and incomplete.
Feed the whole family with a big bow box. It's bow time.
2nd and 10 now for Duke. They've won 8 straight home openers and 10-2 in home openers under head coach David Cutcliffe. Bryce wants to take off. They go to the right side and not a whole lot available against the Boston College defense.
Yeah, good read by Isaiah McDuffie, the linebacker. This was a play where they showed 3 receivers to the field, but McDuffie, 55, gets a really good quick read. It was set up to be a run play away from the 3 receiver set. See, 3 receivers at the bottom of the screen, but it's set to run. But 55 McDuffie reads it right now and comes downhill to limit the game.
Boston College a year ago, 14th in total defense on 3rd down behind the receiver. BC put some pressure on. Second 3 and out for BC. They've got a punt.
Redshirt junior Marcus Valdez, number 97. They're going to bring more than you can handle. Valdez is going to come off the edge and get around Bryce, and really no separation. They're looking for a Banco was looking for maybe a penalty there, but none called. So they've forced Duke into 2 3 and outs to start the game.
So Wilson back in to punt. Levy, the deep man, he's going to watch this one bounce inside the 45 and covered by the Blue Devil punt team near that 45-yard line of Boston College. Blue Devils and Eagles have not met since 2015. Blue Devils have won 2 in a row in the series, but it's BC with an early 7-0 lead in our first quarter from Durham and Wallace Wade Stadium.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A is for available. We can serve you in the drive-thru. We can deliver your food to your house. We have delivery partners, and we have our own delivery system. Home can be wherever you choose. You don't need to go anywhere else. On Sunday, maybe, but that's about it.
The A in Chick-fil-A stands for a connection. Having the opportunity to have a positive connection with the guest, I think is really cool. It is kind of a fun challenge to try to make that person's day. I don't know, it just makes life better. Like, why not?
American Family Insurance is returning $425 million to our customers. This includes a 10% savings for all current and new auto customers for the rest of the year. We hope this does your world some good. Contact your agent or go to amfam.com to learn about more ways to save.
To buy the Works Landroid Robotic Lawnmower. Available at mylandroid.com. Your local Sherwin-Williams paint store. Painting questions? Ask Sherwin-Williams. And Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealers today.
Welcome back. BC leading Duke 7-0. Well, we all got a little bored during quarantine when COVID hit. For BC's Alec Lindstrom, he decided he was going to learn how to bake. I talked to him and he said, well, Lindsay, when I'm not thinking about football, I'm thinking about food. So his mom taught him how to bake. He said one of his favorite things to make is pistachio cake, but when he's not making pistachio cake, he loves his recipes, his mom's recipe for whoopie pies. I'm not going to lie, when I got off the phone with Alec, I was pretty hungry. Tom, back to you.
Wait, pistachio cakes and whoopie pies.
Yes,
like
pistachio cake and whoopie pies.
Now, you better share those with your fellow offensive linemen or you're going to be in big trouble.
That's correct. And based on the size of these guys, I think he has been sharing them.
Yes.
Yeah, his brother starting in the offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons at the right guard position as well.
4 all ACC returning offensive linemen for Boston College. Blue Devils were waiting for that one.
Yeah, outstanding play of staying home. Shaka Hayward's going to play on the edge. The outstanding linebacker, number 42, reads it, steps outside, stays at home. He knows his responsibility is bootleg, anything coming back his way, cut back, and boy, right in the right spot. 8 tackles and a sack a week ago against Notre Dame.
That's a loss of 6 for the Eagles on first down, who took their opening possession 81 yards on 10 plays and into the end zone to take a 7-0 lead against the Blue Devils, who have 1 game under their belt from a week ago and a loss at Notre Dame. First game of the season for the Eagles, who've won 6 of their last 7 season openers. All kinds of time. Deep ball into double coverage. Into the secondary and intercepted by the Blue Devils at the 15-yard line.
Looks like Mark Gilbert. We talked about Mark Gilbert hadn't played in a long time and been starving to get back on the field. And Gilbert's in the perfect position. Play fake, going to take the deep shot on the post route. Gilbert in perfect position over the top as the corner. Ball thrown a little bit too far to the inside, but Gilbert snatches it and comes down with his first pick in a long time. Had 6 career receptions coming in. They all happened in 2017. That's got to be a pretty cool moment for Mark Gilbert.
All smiles on that sideline, and why not? Just over 6 minutes to go. Jurkovic throws the pick. This is Bryce on a little misdirection and drag, and up to the 25. And that is complete. That's 9 yards for Duke.
Yeah, good decision by Zach Roper. Let's get the quarterback out of the pocket. Let's change the launch point. Good job of getting up the field now. See if they can just move the chains, what you're looking to do here.
Jake Bobo made the catch for the previous play. This one goes up close to the 30-yard line and is the first down for the Blue Devils. Deion Jackson hopping his way and greasing the chains for a fresh set of downs for Duke.
Yeah, their first down of the game, and now they can jump into some of their tempo that Zach Roper wants to implement. Here's the OC.
4 yards on the run by Jackson. We'll get the call again. And BC will stop him just beyond the 30, Dave.
Well, Duke is having a tough time blocking Luke Beckett, the transfer from Cal, and Chibuzi Onwuka. That's the big fella, number 9, going to knife through. They had a tough time with those two big defensive tackles right now.
Onwuka, 5'11", 285, and a graduate student for the Eagles. 2nd and 9. Bryce, the quick pass to the boundary. And ridden out of bounds near the 35-yard line.
Like Phil Johnson lined up outside. Big play guy, get him the football, see if he can create. But a good quick decision by Chase Bryce. And a nice pickup to get you in a 3rd and short situation.
4.5 minutes to go in our first quarter. 3rd down for the Blue Devils.
Going to spread BC out here, Tom. Gives Bryce the opportunity to potentially run this football.
Call it 3rd and 2. Rifles that one beyond the 40. And a first down up to about the 43-yard line.
Yeah, Jake Bobo going to run the slant route, just spread BC out. Gives you a pretty good declaration of what they're doing from a coverage standpoint. Nice selection of the 5 receivers he had to pick from, and hits Bobo on the slant for the first down.
Yeah, they got 6 yards there. Bryce will hand it off. Big pile up near the 45-yard line.
Onwuka again, Tom, has really been active. Chibuzi Onwuka, the grad student, as you mentioned, transfer from Buffalo, University of Buffalo. He has been really kind of tough to handle. Low center of gravity, you mentioned. He's only 5'11", about 290. Having a tough time with it.
Short 2-yard gain on the previous play. Bryce slips a tackle up towards midfield and leans his way and lunges to the Boston College 49, and he got 6 yards short of the marker.
Don't see that very often. Max Richardson, the leading tackler for Boston College, had the shot in the backfield. Number 14, he's the leading tackler on this football team, and he doesn't miss many of those. So nice job of Chase Bryce stepping out of that. Bobo gets a block downfield.
Through the first level and headed toward the end zone for the Blue Devils, and all the way in. Touchdown on the run by Mateo Durant for Duke. Blasting through and all the way to the house.
Yeah, really the first time they've had any crease to the inside other than the first play of the game. Excellent job up front this time. Get Onwuka blocked and got Richardson, the middle linebacker, blocked, and all of a sudden you're in the secondary if you're Durant, and you see the great speed. He shoves it in the end zone. He averaged just under 5 yards a carry a year ago in kind of a backup role. But the junior has the biggest play of the game so far for Duke.
Charlie Ham for the extra point after the 49-yard run from Durant. And it is no good on the extra point from Ham, the redshirt freshman. What a play by the Blue Devils late here in the first quarter as Durant found a crease and made him pay, Dave.
Well, we've been talking about offensive line play for Boston College, but a pretty good job here by Duke to create the crease. And then you can see Durant's ability, once he gets clean, to be able to shove it in the end zone. And we talked to David Cutcliffe, and he's got a couple of freshmen that are kicking for him, and you're going to have to live with some of the growing pains. You hate to miss an extra point, but a good job by Duke to answer. After 2 3-and-outs, they're able to push the ball down the field. Nice job of Zach Roper moving the quarterback around a little bit and got the run game cranked up. So Duke looked a little bit more like we saw last week against Notre Dame, where they had some success.
So the drive is 8 plays, 84 yards. Durant with the 49-yard touchdown run.
It's interesting, Tom, when you get a play like that, you know, you're expecting kind of some juice from the crowd. And this is one of these things that teams are going to have to deal with now with no fans here, of course, at Wallace Wade today. I thought the players were really cranked up before this game started, but that's what home field advantage is when you're struggling a little bit or you need that little pick-me-up. The crowd generally gives that to you, the home crowd. And now these teams that are playing at home are going to have to create their own juice. They're going to have to be able to fire themselves up. And I think that was something that was going to help Duke right there, that nice drive.
BC's return past the 25-yard line. Eagles on the road to open up the season. Just took a big punch from that Duke offense.
Well, we talk about creating a crease. Durant looking for that. Oh, there you go, right there. There's that crease. Got a nice wall built here. Got the backside blocked, and now you can get me into that third level. I'll do the rest. Make the safety miss, and Durant steps on the accelerator and shoves it in the end zone. But you got to give him that initial crease. Really nice job for that Duke offensive line.
So Mateo Durant has the answer to the Eagles touchdown on their first possession of the game. 2:55 to go in our first quarter. Tom Worming, Dave Archer, Lindsey Riley on the sidelines, and our outstanding ACC football production crew with you. From Brooks Field, Wallace Wade Stadium, Durham, North Carolina.
It's interesting how it's always been fun to watch the ebb and flow in games. You and I have done a number of games together where a team gets off to a good start and you need something to kind of kickstart you. Mark Gilbert's interception on the deep ball puts the offense on the field. They go down and score, and then the first play back defensively, you build a stone wall there and don't allow Bailey to get downhill on you. So now 2nd and long here for Boston College.
Phil Jurkovec is the BC quarterback. The Notre Dame transfer. Going to hand it off. Close to the 30-yard line. Bailey on the run. Just a yard for Bailey. And now, just like that, 3rd down for Boston College.
Well, this is a veteran offensive line, so what they've tried to do is they've tried to throw some stunts at them, create some different blocking angles or an extra player in a hole. And in the first 2 plays of this series, it certainly has created a problem for Boston College. And this is where you want BC. You want their young quarterback who only has 6 games under his belt in 3rd and long, so you now can dial up some of your blitzes. And Duke's got everybody up on the front right now.
Just 2 TD passes in his days at Notre Dame with Jurkovec, and he goes down to the 21-yard line. Several blue shirts around him. And that includes Dwayne Carter, number 90 for the Blue Devil defense. 4th down.
Yeah, again, they're going to show blitz. They're going to come up. So now the young quarterback, these are things they haven't seen. Double A gap blow. No, they're going to back out. Just play zone coverage behind it. But maybe it made him pause just a minute on the quick throw he had in the slot that allowed Carter to get home, put him on the ground. So nice series of downs for the Duke defense.
Dimu Keji was also there to combine on that sack for the Blue Devils. Blackwell backpedaling inside the 30. Makes a couple of men miss and then is met at the 37-yard line.
Well, that's a big part of this Duke team is the special teams part. David Cutcliffe talks about if we can win that battle, we're going to win a lot of football games, and he's got 2 excellent return guys. Josh Blackwell was 12th in the country in punt returns a year ago, right at 11 yards a return. Of course, we talked about Phil Yard-Johnson and his prowess as the kickoff return guy. So Duke feels like, hey, we're going to win the game in all 3 phases. We can't just win it with 1 phase of the game. Nice job there by Johnson or by Blackwell to get up the field and give him good field position.
So far for Bryce, 3 of 5 through the air and 21 yards. Did have a key run during that previous drive. Now wants to throw it, has the time, goes safety valve to Durant. And he's just beyond the 40-yard line. A couple of Eagles converge on Durant, who has the touchdown run for Duke.
But good decision that time by Chase Bryant. And he got good protection. This time he had time to sort out what he wanted to do, and he dropped it off to his flare control, the back and the flat, and so you get a nice first down pickup, and you're on schedule, which we talked was one of the keys to the game, or the key to the game for Duke.
Final seconds of the first quarter. Run game to the 45. That's Durant.
And Parsley with the tackle.
Could be the final play of the first, and it will. So Boston College scored on its first drive, and then Durant went 49 yards for the score. Dave, 7-6 after 1.
Well, we had a battle. We thought it was going to be physical. It has been physical. And, hey, we're almost dead even as we go to quarter 2.
wonder where the capital A in Chick-fil-A came from? It started with grade A, top quality chicken. But we believed everything, not just the food, should be grade A. A is for all the little things we do to bring you our best every day.
The A in Chick-fil-A means a loving, caring team. We're all very supportive of each other. It goes beyond being a team. It's like a family, you know? I definitely can't imagine working anywhere but Chick-fil-A ever, especially right now.
The "you've been dreaming about this car since you were 8" policy from American Family Insurance.
Durham, as we take a look at today's game summary, it's brought to you by Whole Foods with Boston College up 7-6, Dave.
Well, big run by Duke puts their numbers in rushing where it is, and big pass play by Boston College puts the numbers there. But we're pretty even in this football game.
Ready to roll with the second quarter. The Blue Devils have the football. Durant left side. Cannot quite get to midfield, but it's enough for a first down. He took it for 4 yards. Chains are moving.
Yeah, they want to play with some pace, Tom, and they've kind of gotten in the flow after a real sluggish start for David Cutcliffe's team. They've gotten kind of the things going the way they want them to go. Now, that was not a big pickup, but they're playing the speed they want to play.
First and 10 from their own 49. Bryce with the time. Just short of the marker, and the catch is made. They'll mark him at about the 43.
Yeah, good route by Harding on the outside and a good selection by Bryce. He's just looking to try to find that uncovered guy. He finds it outside the Harding, picks up a good second down pickup and first down pickup, and now you got a conversion situation here.
Second and short for Duke. Bryce going deep inside the 10 and overshoots defender and receiver, and it's a clean play.
Yeah, I look a little bit like Harding was confused as to whether he was going to shut it down, and he thought maybe Bryce might hit him from behind, but or, throw the back shoulder. See, he kind of slowed down, but there was a lot of contact. Boy, the DB was not looking back on the play either. Could have called that out there on the outside on Boston College.
Elijah Jones was defending. 3rd and 2. Bryce hunting that first down near the 40-yard line. Looks like he's got enough there, Dave.
And this is all they're asking him to do. These little things, like they're not asking him to run the football constantly in the game, but just provide the opportunity to do this. Spread out, stay in your normal formation, 5 wide receivers, and then run the quarterback to the perimeter to pick up the 2 or 3 yards for a first down.
McDuffie made the tackle, but not before Chase Bryce rambles his way to a first down inside the BC 40. Pass complete, Pankol. He slides down near the 30-yard line.
Boy, excellent block by Noah Gray on the outside. This play does not happen without the tight ends block. Noah Gray, number 87, right there gets the block that frees Pankol up to allow him to get up the field for an 8-yard pickup. But excellent execution by the tight end, Noah Gray.
3 catches and 78 yards receiving for Pankol a week ago at Notre Dame. On 2nd and 2 to the ground. Through the line and a first down and more. Jackson on the run for Duke.
Again, looking for that crease is Deion Jackson. We saw it happen for Durant on his run. Try to get up to that second level. Here it is. There's the crease. You can go there or there. There's the key block on the second level linebacker, which allows Jackson to hit it up inside for the first down.
And he got 10 yards. Complete momentum swing after the interception of the first quarter by Gilbert in favor of Duke. Bryce trying to buy some time, and he gets cut down.
Boy, Valdez has been extremely active for BC off the edge. He's been around Bryce a good number of times already in the game. But here's just his ability, speed to change direction, the big fella. 260 pounds, able to track Chase Bryce down and get him around the ankles.
A loss of 5 on the play for Duke. Four receiver set for Chase Bryce. Over the middle, it's picked off by the Eagles. That pass over the middle, taken by Boston College, and the return up past the 40-yard line. McDuffie has the interception for Boston College.
Yeah, just stayed at home, Tom. Isaiah McDuffie camped in the middle of the field, and really Chase Bryce never located him. Looking for that slant route to the inside. McDuffie kind of tucked in behind. You can't see him. Steps in and make the play. Big play. Boston College defense.
Check. To me, the A in Chick-fil-A is for available. We can serve you in the drive-thru. We can deliver your food to your house. We have delivery partners, and we have our own delivery system. Home can be wherever you choose. You don't need to go anywhere else. On Sunday, maybe, but that's about it.
The A in Chick-fil-A stands for a connection. Having the opportunity to have a positive connection with the guest, I think is really cool. It is kind of a fun challenge to try to make that person's day. I don't know, it just makes life better. Like, why not?
You've been dreaming about this car since you were 8 policy from American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
Ball is brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. We resolve to help North Carolina stay healthy. And Bojangles. It's Bo time.
Welcome back. Boston College leading Duke 7-6. Well, if you are a longtime BC fan, then you've definitely heard of the miracle in Miami when Doug Flutie threw the Hail Mary to defeat the Hurricanes, which led to one of the most famous pictures in Boston College history of Steve Trapillo carrying Flutie off the field. Fast forward, now Steve's son, Ozzie, is a freshman offensive lineman for the Eagles. Steve passed away in 2004, but I'm sure he would be very proud of his son here today. Guys?
Yeah, no question about it. What a moment that was, and everybody remembers that picture of Flutie being hoisted in the air. I think that you might even remember that as much as you remember Phelan catching the ball against Miami, but certainly him being hoisted in the air. So really cool that his son is here now playing at Boston College.
Gerard Phelan was the receiver in the end zone, 47-45 BC won. They won the Cotton Bowl as well. They were 10-2 that season, and Doug Flutie won the Heisman Trophy.
Let's go back and take a look at the interception. Here's McDuffie right here, but what happens is Bryce can't see him behind the offensive line. You see the slant's going to win inside. He's going to throw the slant, but McDuffie tucked in behind the lineman. You can't find him. McDuffie stayed at home and made a nice play, but that's some of the problems you have as a quarterback. Can't find those guys in that intermediate area. Nice play by McDuffie to turn the tide a little bit here for Boston College.
Approaching the 11-minute mark of our second quarter from Durham. Dracovic up there in midfield. He got 4 yards on the run.
Well, Dracovic now, this is a guy that had quite a bit of prowess in high school. We talked a little bit about off the top, his ability to run the football. He threw for over 8,000 yards at Pine Richland High School in Western Pennsylvania. He also ran for almost 1,000 yards. His over 11,000 yards of total offense ranks in the top 5 of the annals of Western Pennsylvania football.
Dracovic leads that offense into a 3rd down situation. They are 1 for 3 on 3rd down. 3rd and 3 from their side of the 50. The Eagles up 7-6. Right at the 50. They'll mark it at the Duke 49, but it's short. Shaka Hayward comes in and makes the play.
Now this is a group that runs extremely well. It's one of the transformations that Duke has made on this thing, and I beg your pardon, it was Rocky Shelton. I told Tom it was Shaka Hayward, it was Rocky Shelton, so a bad job of spotting by me there. But as we try to multitask up here. But Rocky Shelton, the redshirt sophomore, makes the play there. He started against Notre Dame last week. It was his first career start. Back in there this week again.
BC going for it on 4th down. That pass play is incomplete. The pass incomplete to Garwo.
Yeah, and he had Rumpf in his face. This was not going to be an easy play. Rumpf at 6'4", 235 pounds. Dracovic is going to come clean, but here's Rumpf, 96. This is a kid that a lot of people like at the next level. Playing linebacker, one of those rush linebackers in a 3-4, and just did not make a good, accurate throw, but some of that had to do with Rump being in his face.
So the Blue Devils are going to take over, Dave, after that fourth down play. I'm wondering if there was a slight miscommunication, Dave, because Jurkovec kind of went for a little fake in the backfield. There was nobody back there with him.
Yeah.
Just wondering. It
might have been. He was trying to get a little play fake. I don't know if it was a flash play fake or whatever it was, but big turnover on downs at midfield.
So McDuffie had the interception for BC, but they can't convert on fourth down. This is over the middle and complete. Pass play for the Blue Devils. And caught Noah Gray, the tight end, number 87, making the play. And they got 24 yards on that one.
Yeah, look at Chase's eyes. He looks outside and then comes back to the inside. And this is a guy hit 5 times for, 87 yards, 68 yards last week.
Blue Devils on the move right here.
Yeah, Phil Johnson is a guy that I think David Cutcliffe would like to see with the ball in his hands, and why not? This guy was number 2 in the nation in kickoff return, so why not build a little screen for him, set up a kind of a kickoff return, and see if he can make a play. And nice, good, solid run, good, solid hit on the leg there.
Got cut down by Palmer. So Duke into the red zone. Touch pass, back corner. Gray couldn't run it down.
Yeah, it's a good job in the secondary. Deion Jones is lined up guarding the tight end here and gets a little jam at the line of scrimmage and threw off timing. Watch for the jam down here in the slot. He's got a piece of him right there, and see the ball's already in there from Chase Bryce, so just kind of disrupted the time. That's all you're trying to do with those jams at the line of scrimmage.
51 catches a season ago for Gray to lead ACC tight ends. This pass inside the 5. There is some contact, and a flag is out.
Yeah, this got in too early. Josh DeBerry gets in too early. The sophomore from Grosse Pointe.
Smith was the receiver,
defense,
Dave.
Number 21. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
Just a quick flash pump fake to the outside on the pitch play, and then an isolation slant route on the backside with tight coverage, but just a little bit too tight. And now Duke's inside the 5.
Number 3. That penalty will be declined. The defensive pass interference will be enforced. First down.
Dwayne Height, our referee this afternoon in the sunshine and crisp temperatures. It was sub 60 when we started the day. Perhaps right around 60 degrees right now. Blue Devils just inside the 5. Right side, and BC collapses. Did the ball come out? It did. Boston College football. Inside the 5, a fumble by Duke.
Boy, just a poor job of ball security here by Deion Jackson down deep. And Valdez, who's had a heck of a game, emerges as the guy, I believe, that got on the football. Jarred out of there by Chibuzi Onwuka.
So Valdez comes up with the ball, and BC turns back Duke, leading by 1.
The A in Chick-fil-A is for A game. My least favorite word is just. If ever you hear the word just, whatever comes behind it is not going to be somebody's A game. And you never hear that at Chick-fil-A. It's in our DNA to do everything as best we can.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A stands for a higher standard for yourself in your store. And it's really natural to me to try and make connections with customers that are deeper than just, hi, how are you? Like, how's your family or how are your kids, too? That really makes their day.
The "you've been dreaming about this car since you were 8" policy from American Family Insurance.
Well, but it's been a day of turnovers, really. Mark Gilbert with an interception, turned back Boston College, netted a touchdown, and then it's McDuffie with an interception that turned back a Duke drive, and then Duke has been turned away again. Onwuka knocks the ball out, and Valdez ends up with it. So 3 turnovers here early. But a good play and a huge moment for Boston College there, Tom, to turn Duke back when it looked like Duke was going to seize the lead.
And remember, this BC defense was 14th in total D a season ago, and that's the specialty in the wheelhouse for their new head coach, Jeff Hafley, in his first season. who was the defensive coordinator for Ohio State a season ago. They were Big Ten champs and participated in the college football playoff.
This is one of those scenarios where I expect them to run the football, but that's what you kind of expect. So this is a place where a lot of teams like to play action, throw a deep shot.
Deep in their own territory. Coming out of his end zone, David Bailey put the head down and forged up to the 5-yard line.
Young quarterback, you got to try to take care of the ball deep in your own territory. Take a look at Jeff Hafley's career, what he's been. DC coordinator at Ohio State, and how can you argue with DC at Ohio State? They were in the top 2 or 3 in every defensive category a year ago. And, of course, the DB coach with the Niners, the Browns, Bucks. Got a great background as he comes in here to take over the BC program.
Ohio State was second in the nation in total defense, third in scoring defense. Relying on his offense, that's a fluttering ball into the secondary and incomplete. A couple of Duke players back there as well.
So I was just a play off on taking the deep shot deep in your own territory, but here it is. Play fake, take a deep shot, but how about the shot that he takes from Hayward on the backside, and that might have caused some of the fluttering you're talking about, Tom, as the ball wasn't overly well thrown and probably should have been picked off. So Duke, or BC's probably fortunate they didn't turn it over right there.
Flowers was back there with Waters, who was there defensively for Duke. He wears 0 in that secondary, as you just saw. 1 for 4 on 3rd down of the game. Play clock down to 2. Quick pass.
Nice catch.
Short of the 15. Boy, that's right near the marker, Dave.
But a nice job to go get the football. Wow. I think that's Ethan Williams, the sophomore, going to go down and get this and to kind of help his quarterback out. What an excellent catch by Williams. He had 3 catches last season for the entire year. That was a big-time grab right there.
9 yards on the play to move the sticks for Boston College. 7:30 to go in our second quarter. They'll run it. Duke's ready at the 15.
I think Shaka Hayward's starting to get warmed up, Tom. We talked about 8 tackles and a sack a week ago. He was around the quarterback on that long throw, and he's going to be in on this play as well. He is right in around the line of scrimmage, extremely active, 6'4", 220 pounds. They've had some pretty good linebackers here over the years at Duke, and Shaka Hayward just fits right in, the sophomore.
No gain on 1st down for Boston College. Levy was denied on 1st down. 2nd down for the Eagles. Jerkovic leads his receiver beyond the 30 and caught. What a play by BC.
Hunter Long, all-ACC tight end, going to drag across the field. Again, great protection up front from this all-ACC offensive line. And then a well-thrown ball by Jerkovic. Look where he puts this ball out in front. That's a really good coverage. And a good job of Long to haul it in for a 1st down.
18 yards on the catch. From the 32 for Boston College. 1st down.
Two defensive ends there. Dumukeji and Rumpf coming off both sides to help. You know what they're doing with Rumpf, Tom, is they're walking him around. He's a bit of a problem as far as getting him blocked, but they're also kind of creating some opportunities for him. He's playing on the defensive end most of the time, but they move him around. He's one of the captains on the team. See the big C on his chest? Doing a good job of kind of keeping him in kind of that free-flowing, get-after-it phase.
Duke did allow 441 yards of total offense in a losing effort at Notre Dame a week ago. Jerkovic on the run, flag. In fact, 2 of them come out behind the play as he goes forward to the 44-yard line. But we do have to sort out these penalty markers with Dwayne Height.
Holding, offense, number 78, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
You don't ever like to be mentioned in this vein. This is Tyler Vrabel right here, number 78. And, of course, yes, he's the son of the outstanding football coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel. But Tyler's an all-ACC performer, part of that 4 guys up front that were part of the all-ACC team, and that's why they're so good at running the football coming off. But They're the Vrabels. That's a heck of a family shot right there. How about his performance as a coach at Tennessee? Second year takes Tennessee to the brink of the Super Bowl a year ago, losing to the eventual champ Kansas City Chiefs.
Incomplete pass. Coach Vrabel told us he will watch the game. He's got practice first, Dave.
That's important.
And then he's going to watch the game and see how BC fares today.
Yeah, he was a heck of a player with 3 teams, most notably with New England. 57 sacks in a career, was an All-Pro in 07, I believe. But he's gone on to become an outstanding coach.
Let's go down to Lindsay for a moment.
That's right, guys. I actually had the opportunity to touch base with Coach Vrabel earlier this week. I asked him about what he thought of Coach Hafley. He said he's brought a new energy to Chestnut Hill. He and his staff have been in constant communication with the parents as it relates to protocol schedules and best practices, dealing with COVID, and having success in a safe season.
And Lindsay on 3rd and long. We're going to take a timeout here in Durham. 7-6 is our score. Boston College with the football and the slim lead.
Hey, my name is Dante, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is the authentic taste of it. You can tell it's freshly breaded, seasoned perfectly, and it just has this unique taste that compares to no other. Once I bite into it,
My name is Meredith, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese is the oven-toasted, cheesy top layer. If home had a flavor, it would be Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese. I'm passionate about it.
These days, we need each other more than ever. That's why AARP created Community Connections, an online tool to find or create a mutual aid group, get help, or help those in need. Stay connected with AARP.
Break, we were talking about Tyler Vrabel, son of Mike Vrabel, who's the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Here you take a look at some of the other famous bloodlines for the Boston College Eagles. Lots of connections there all over the country. But I mentioned before the break, I spoke with Coach Vrabel earlier this week about how impressed he's been with Coach Hafley. I also spoke to him about his son. He said he's been so impressed about the football player he's grown into, but he's been even more impressed with the teammate that he has grown into and the leadership that he has displayed at such a young age. Guys?
Some really famous people have sent their kids to Boston College, and they're getting it done now themselves. So that's pretty cool.
A lot of New England Patriots ties on that list, Dave, I might add.
Yeah, Tate Haynes' dad, Mike Haynes, he's a Hall of Famer. 9-time Pro Bowler for the Raiders and for the Patriots.
2 for 5 on 3rd down. 3rd and long. Sack, ball out, and covered up by the Eagles. But pressure from that Duke defense, and Dimukeji 51.
Came in with 14 career sacks. And the big fella is right out here on this side, just going to speed rush off the edge, working to get Zion Johnson. All ACC performer is Johnson. Dimukeji gets in there and makes the play.
Big hit. Oh, gosh, Jerkovic. Good to see him at least get up and leave the field after the hit by Dimukeji, an experienced player on that Duke defense. Carlson from his end zone with a punt. It'll take a BC roll near that 35-yard line and be down by the Eagles. 4:19 to go in our second quarter. The ACC football season rolling along in Durham, North Carolina, with the Eagles up 7-6.
Hey there, I'm Aisha, and my favorite thing about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is how easy you can share them with your friends. They taste fresh, they're crispy, you can taste that every single one is unique. The top tier, best chicken nuggets ever. You guys should put that in the commercial.
Hi, my name is Brian, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A mac and cheese is you can taste the different types of cheeses and the blends that they use, and everything just comes together. It's like a delicate dance. They're like perfection in every bite.
The "You've been dreaming about this car since you were 8" policy from American Family Insurance.
In the middle of that huddle with his teammates, trailing 7-6. They've got the ball. Good field position at the BC 35-yard line. Trace Bryce, the backup and the transfer from Clemson, He didn't play a whole lot there, but he did come through in a huge pressure situation. Trevor Lawrence was injured in the game against Syracuse in 2018, and in comes Bryce, Dave.
Well, just down the road is where he went to high school. Grayson High School won a high school state championship, and he was a celebrated freshman coming in, but he led them to a huge win. Remember, this was the national championship season of a couple of years ago where Clemson took out Alabama to win the national title. They would not even have been there had it not been Chase Bryce's effort to come off the bench against Syracuse. And he had a conversion play in that game, a fourth down conversion throw that he completed. And Travis Etienne ended up punching it in. Young Travis Etienne. How about all those players that are now playing still for Clemson? But so pretty cool that Chase Bryce is here at Duke now and going to be able to show his wares.
Took him on a 94-yard game-winning drive against the Orange. Dave overcame a double-digit fourth-quarter deficit to win that game against Syracuse in 2018. A year after Syracuse had upset the Tigers at the Dome. Bryce throws on the run. The pass is incomplete.
Well, that's pretty good coverage, really, by Elijah Jones. He's in a trail technique, but this is a throw that Chase Bryce has to make. They're moving the quarterback, and David Cutcliffe and Zach Roper running this offense. Now, Cut's calling the plays. This is the first time David Cutcliffe's called plays since back in 07 when he was the OC at Tennessee. Pretty good job of moving his quarterback there. Bryce has got to be a little bit more accurate with the throw.
8 of 14 through the air for Bryce. Put some touch on this one to the end zone. A lot of activity back there. There are no flags on the play. Again, he was looking for Harding Jr.
Well, I like this throw. Really good trajectory on the throw, and he's going to give Harding an opportunity to go get the football. I'm just not sure why that's not being called. He's not looking for the football. And I mean, if you can get away with it if you're Elijah Jones, you do. But that, to me, that's pass interference.
Just over 4 minutes to go in our second quarter. A couple of scores by each team in the first. Bryce has an open man inside the 25-yard line for a first down.
Dennis Smith comes in on the slot, or he's lined up to the wide side of the field, but good protection again. When this Duke offense has given Bryce the opportunity to stand in the pocket and throw it, he's made some really good throws, and an excellent one there to Dennis Smith for the first down.
12 yards on the play for the Blue Devils. First and 10. Inside the BC 25.
Good decision. Good decision.
Flag is out late on the play, Dave.
Well, he had nothing. They were trying to set up a screen back to Dennis Smith, and BC was all over it, and Bryce throws the ball away.
Personal foul. Illegal low block. Offense, number 63. 15-yard penalty remains. First down.
Jacob Monk gets flagged, the right guard. He had made a transition, Tom, moved from tackle to guard. Started right down here is what we're looking for as far as the block. And right there, see, chopped. He went at Max Richardson. Unfortunately, didn't get Max. Those are plays you like to get out of the game because that gets her guys hurt. But fortunately, didn't get him there.
Incomplete pass.
Yeah, and this is a scenario where Chase is, the more he gets in, the maturation he gets is his opportunity to hold the ball a tad longer. He had really good protection. You're going to get a route across here. What he can't see is McDuffie right there, the linebacker's in the way. If he'd waited a count longer and got him out near the numbers, he probably could have picked the ball in. But your time clock goes in your head, and off in your head as a quarterback, and say, I got to get the ball out of here, and maybe squeeze the trigger a little bit too soon.
Last one incomplete to Pancol. This one close to the 32-yard line. That's Noah Gray for 6 yards.
Just trying to get a piece of it back. Good decision. Just a piece of trying to get yourself in position. Looks like Duke's going to burn a timeout.
Mayuzi made the tackle for Boston College with 3:14 to go in the second quarter. It is 3rd and long for the Blue Devils.
So the goal here now is obviously you'd like to get a first down, but there's not a lot in the playbook for 3rd and 20, or 3rd and 19. So What Cut's going to do here now is he's going to talk to Chase Bryce's young quarterback, or not young, but a quarterback with maybe not quite as much experience as Daniel Jones had for him. Okay, let's get a piece of this back. Let's put ourselves in field goal range. Let's give us an opportunity to put some points on the board. Got a young kicker. Obviously, you'd like to get it as close as you possibly can.
Landroid robotic lawnmower. Available at mylandroid.com. The future of lawn care is here.
So 3rd and 19. Charlie Ham, the field goal kicker for the Blue Devils, was 2 for 2 last week. He connected on field goals of 29 and 30 yards at Duke. For Ham, the redshirt freshman. See what they dial up on 3rd and 19, deep into the play clock. Bryce with the time along the 40-yard line, and that just never had a future.
Yeah, that was not the place you wanted to throw the football there. That was his flare control or check down route, but really well covered that time by Jason Maitre. He was all over the play and just can't throw the ball there.
Flag on the play as well, and a loss of 5 for Duke.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, number 71, offense, 15-yard penalty, the down counts, 4th down.
So another personal foul against the Blue Devils.
Yeah, Maurice McIntyre, left guard, took an extra shot. And these are the kind of things that bother David Cutcliffe big time, because his team is much more disciplined than that, and they don't make those kind of mistakes. Usually one of the more least penalized teams in the country every year, and so when you give up yardage, that's going to bother the head guy.
Levy deep. We're inside of 3 minutes to go in the quarter. All the scoring in the first quarter, and a flag is out.
So now what you begin to happen here?
Offense, number 39, 5-yard penalty, remains, 4th down.
What ends up happening here, Tom, is the further you're moving back, now you're giving BC an opportunity to set up a return when it looked like maybe you're going to be punting from near midfield and you might be able to pin them again. Now BC going to have an opportunity to potentially get a return and have some viable field position for a late quarter drive, or late half drive here.
Wilson punting. Swallowed up in a flag. Duke all over the return man.
Well, there were 3 Duke players there, but Javen Stinson, who made a play earlier in the game, was one of those players.
43-yard punt. Levy was the return
catch interference. Kicking team, number 16, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Yeah, let's take a look. Does he have... I mean, you could have called maybe an illegal hit to the head on Jalen Stinson, but he had more than enough room to catch the football. The interpretation of that play, I don't agree with. I think he had more than enough time to catch the ball. Now, you could call a hit to the head, which is more impactful because it might have been eliminated Stinson from the game. But I don't agree with the kick catch interference. All right, so good field position now for Boston College, Tom. 2:35 left. This is something you work on every week in practice, maybe every day with your 2-minute offense.
Djokovic. Those edges bend in, and he gets away. Spinning his way up near the 35.
He made Rump miss twice. Rump had him once, then circled back and had a shot at him again. 96 Rump going to come off the edge. Here's Rump right here in the middle. See, he comes out. Got a shot there. Now going to get back up off the ground, take another shot at him. Misses him again. 6'5", 230-pound quarterback. Hard to get on the ground.
All that for 2 yards as Hayward made the tackle on Djokovic. 6'5", 226 and a sophomore over the middle. Past the 40, incomplete. In a little bit of a congested area, but Flowers has the catch for 7 yards.
Zay Flowers not afraid to come down inside on those slants. We've seen him catch one already for a big gain and did a good job there in traffic. Make this 3rd and short. Now, this is where the quarterback's big body comes in play if you want to run it.
Time a factor. 1:35 to go in the quarter. They'll send it out towards the sideline. Should be enough for a first down to the pass play.
Hunter Long does a good job of getting out in the flat quickly. Had a slant over the top. That's a very common combination. Slant outside, inside receiver goes to the outside. Good quick decision by Zurkovic. Got a first down.
Jamaric Woods on the stop for Duke, but not before a first down for BC. Zurkovic out of the pocket. Room to Emble, and he dives for the marker at the 47. First down, 10 yards on the run.
Good recognition by the young quarterback. He realizes that Duke was bringing extra rushers, man coverage in the secondary. Nobody counts for him, so he gets out of the pocket, runs for a first down.
Waters tackled him for Duke. Back-to-back first down plays. Boston College, 1:15 and rolling on the clock of the second quarter. Zurkovic, nowhere to go this time, and swallowed up right on the Duke logo.
Dimukeji comes in and makes another play. They went to a bare front this time, meaning all three interior offensive linemen were covered, and he had stand-up ends on either side. Had a little stunt to the inside. Dimukeji was part of that, and he looped around to make the play.
Dimukeji's been in that BC offensive backfield quite a bit.
His 40th career start as a Duke Blue Devil.
Toyota halftime report, highlights and stats, recapping of week 1, ACC football. Early on in the season, all the health and safety protocols in place. And for the most part, we move forward. There are going to be stumbles, Dave. There are going to be challenges this season, no question about it. But what incredible work done by the conference and the schools, putting the health and safety of the student athletes and all of the support staff at the various schools as the #1 priority as we play college football in the fall for 2020.
Yeah, Tom, I would not want to be someone that's in a leadership role dealing with this. I don't care if you're running your own business or whether you're trying to run a college football conference or, you know, it just is a very difficult scenario to steer through, and I applaud all those that are in those positions that have given us an opportunity to have some football this year and let these kids play the game they love.
The ACC installing testing guidelines throughout the week to make sure that the players are ready for Saturdays. Zurkovic in trouble. He refuses to go down, but they will blow the play dead.
Well, Victor Dimukeji, easy for me to say, Victor Dimukeji has been a beast here in the first half. He made the play on the last play, and he's going to get into Zurkovic's face again. Coming off the right side, right there in the face of the quarterback is the big defensive end for Duke. 40 career games.
Loss of 5, third sack in the game for the Blue Devils. Zurkovic, pocket deteriorates. He runs and throws, and that's going to sail well out of bounds on the Duke side of the field.
Now, along with the pass rush that Duke has, they have their group they call the Cheetahs in the back end, and they're doing a really good job of plastering coverage. Just no place to throw the ball initially, and then once Zurkovic escaped the pocket, they really did a nice job of plastering on the back end as well. But Josh Blackwell, number 31, let's take a look at the coverage downfield. Watch Duke now. They call their secondary the Cheetahs because they run as a group and just cover things up. Might have been able to throw the ball in the middle, maybe, but just under duress is the quarterback. So the big fellas up front getting after the quarterback, and they're covering big time on the back end.
BC to punt with 24 seconds on the game clock. Fair catch, intended and made. 31 is Blackwell back there for Duke. 18 seconds on the clock in the second quarter. So Dave, Boston College has the 1-yard Bailey touchdown run, 10-play drive, and Durant went 49 yards for the Blue Devils after the Gilbert interception. BC has also forced 2 turnovers, but they haven't gotten any points off of those in the first half.
And one of them was deep in their own territory that actually took Duke Blue Devil points off the board, the Jackson fumble that they forced. But this will just be a kneel down. Let's go in at halftime. Both coaches will probably be satisfied with that. Hard-fought game. We thought it'd be physical. It has been. And there's been some mistakes, but you can't expect early in the season as well.
Well, remember, they haven't played since 2015, and that was a win for Duke at home, 9-7. 3 Ross Martin field goals with a difference. And right now, an extra point missed by Ham is the difference after the Durant run of 49 yards, as Bryce will just sit on that one, and the clock will run out in the first half. So the teams off to their respective dressing rooms. Boston College, its first taste of action this season. Duke looking for its first win after the loss on the road at Notre Dame a week ago.
I think both coaches have to be pleased with how hard their kids are playing. Certainly this is the first time BC's been on the field this year. But it's an ACC game, conference game, and these two teams are battling head-to-head.
So the Blue Devils trailing 7-6 to the visiting Eagles in our first half. And we're ready to go down to Lindsay and Coach Hafley. Lindsay?
Coach, first drive of the game, 81 yards on 10 plays. What do you think of the way that your team came out?
I thought our team came out with a ton of energy, a ton of juice. I thought we got a little bit tired, like we almost came out and tried to punch them and knock them out. We just got to settle in and keep playing and get back to that.
You started to Phil Dracovic today. Phil took a big hit there at the end of the half. What have you thought of him so far?
Tough kid. He came up smiling. I told him to run the next guy over. I got a ton of confidence in him. We got to protect a little better, give him some more time. I think he got his jitters out. I'm excited to see what he can do in the second half.
Tom, back to you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lindsay. Coach Hafley looking for his first win as a head coach. David Cutcliffe has 116 of them. The focus is on this afternoon in the ACC. Duke and Boston College. One half complete. The Eagles up 7-6 at halftime. Straight ahead from Durham.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A is for available. We can serve you in the drive-thru. We can deliver your food to your house. We have delivery partners, and we have our own delivery system. Home can be wherever you choose. You don't need to go anywhere else. On Sunday, maybe, but that's about it.
The A in Chick-fil-A stands for a connection. Having the opportunity to have a positive connection with the guest, I think is really cool. It is kind of a fun challenge to try to make that person's day. I don't know, it just makes life better. Like, why not?
American Family Insurance is returning $425 million to our customers. This includes a 10% savings for all current and new auto customers for the rest of the year. We hope this does your world some good. Contact your agent or go to amfam.com to learn about more ways to save.
A local Toyota dealer. Wallace Wade Stadium in the 8th all-time meeting between the Blue Devils and the Eagles, 7-6. Boston College has the lead. A missed extra point by the Blue Devils is the difference in the first half. Dave, your impressions of what we saw in the first two quarters between these two teams?
Well, you got a conference game right now, so you're settling in. Two teams kind of battling one another, trying to figure each other out. Two new quarterbacks, so we saw some of that, and then some mistakes. You're going to have that early in the year, but I thought hard fought, getting after it physically. I think both coaches are fired up about the way their kids came out.
If you're Boston College, you couldn't start it any better, Dave. They took it right down the field and got points on their first possession of the football game in the first quarter.
Yeah, featuring the big back Bailey, and Bailey pounds it in for that short touchdown run. That netted a touchdown on the opening drive, but he was very good early in the football game. Then Mateo finally finds a crease. BC had limited Duke offensively through two consecutive 3-and-outs, but on this drive, Mateo finds some room to Mateo Grant finds some room.
Yeah, he went 49 yards, but Ham missed the extra point, Dave, and here we are, 7-6. Turnovers big. Gilbert, the interception. Duke turned this into points.
Yeah, this was kind of what got them started, but then they turned the football over to McDuffie with the interception. It was one where it was tough for Bryce to find the defender in there. And then this was the big turnover really in the game. Duke is driving and coughs the football up. Valdez has the recovery.
Okay, Dave, time now for our first half stats, and they're brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Well, a little bit of the stunner here is when you look at the rushing yards. Now, 49 of that came for Duke on that Mateo Grant. I keep calling him Grant. Mateo
Durant.
There you go, yeah. Touchdown run, but only 19 yards rushing for Boston College behind this big offensive line. Going to need to get that switched around if you're Boston College.
You know, perhaps the other factor defensively, Victor Dimukeji for the Blue Devils in the first half. 7-6, and the Eagles lead at halftime in Durham.
There's no better day.
Ever wonder where the capital A in Chick-fil-A came from? It started with grade A, top quality chicken. But we believed everything, not just the food, should be grade A. A is for all the little things we do to bring you our best every day.
The A in Chick-fil-A means a loving, caring team. We're all very supportive of each other. It goes beyond being a team. It's like a family, you know? I definitely can't imagine working anywhere but Chick-fil-A ever, especially right now.
The You've Been Dreaming About This Car Since You Were 8 policy from American Family Insurance.
A 16-13 season opening loss.
I got COVID for this?
Not an ideal way to start the Mike Norvell era, but with this being the 4th straight season opening loss for the Noles, fans may have found some comfort in the consistency. I mean, even Florida fans and Georgia fans got in on the Twitter dog pile, which really showed us that the whole enemy of my enemy spirit in college football, it's alive and well, and that is truly heartwarming. I mean, I can't say much. I'm a Tennessee Vol fan, and I've been saying feels like 98 since, well, 98. So, Florida State fans, it can only go up from here.
Hey, my name is Dante, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is the authentic taste of it. You can tell it's freshly breaded, seasoned perfectly, and it just has this unique taste that compares to no other. Once I bite into it,
My name is Meredith, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese is the oven-toasted, cheesy top layer. If home had a flavor, it would be Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese. I'm passionate about it.
The You've Been Dreaming About This Car Since You Were 8 policy from American Family Insurance.
Boston College has a 7-6 lead. This is ACC football. We welcome you back to today's halftime report, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Tom and Dave with you here at Wallace Wade Stadium. It's going to be an interesting and challenging season throughout the year, without question, Dave, and we had some developments even this week. We had some stuff in the first week as well, and it affected the ACC also. North Carolina, its game against Charlotte was canceled as well.
Well, the Virginia Tech game is the one that stuck out at me, and it was really interesting because that's a game that's always played at the end of the year. Well, guess what? It will be played at the end of the year now. They've rescheduled for December 12th, I believe, is when it's being rescheduled. That game was supposed to come up last weekend, so that was interesting to see that. Obviously, North Carolina after a great start. That game got canceled as well. So, been a number of games across the land that have been affected by this thing over the first couple of weeks. But in the ACC in particular, a couple of games stuck out like those two.
Yeah, North Carolina had already posted a win at home against Syracuse in week 1. Can't play against Charlotte this week. All right, here are the storylines in the ACC. You got 7 teams in the top 25. Big number for the ACC. Now, some other teams are going to come into the fold later, but right now, 7 in the top 25. We've got Notre Dame. We're expanded to 15 teams. The top 2 by percentage will be in that title game, and the Tigers just keep rolling, Dave.
Well, you can only rank the teams that are playing, right? I mean, so you rank the teams that are playing, and those 7 teams got off the nice start, so they deserve to be in the rankings. Really cool that Notre Dame is going to be a part of the league this year, and we'll see what happens moving forward, but really cool to have them in the league. And, of course, hey, Clemson is just up rolling, as you just said.
Yeah.
Got off to a good start against Wake Forest last week.
And they're playing Citadel today for win number 31 in a row, which would be a conference record. Mateo Durant, how about rolling all the way to the end zone? 49 big yards for number 21. 7-6 Eagles at the half.
The A in Chick-fil-A is for A game. My least favorite word is just. If ever you hear the word just, whatever comes behind it is not going to be somebody's A game. And you never hear that at Chick-fil-A. It's in our DNA to do everything as best we can.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A stands for a higher standard for yourself in your store. And it's really natural to me to try and make connections with customers that are deeper than just, hi, how are you? Like, how's your family or how are your kids, too? That really makes their day.
The You've Been Dreaming About This Car Since You Were 8 policy from American Family Insurance.
Welcome back, Boston College leading Duke 7-6 at half. Now we're joined by Duke's head coach, David Cutcliffe. Coach, Boston able to get on the board first, but your team quickly responded. What did you think of that?
Well, I thought we had a slow start offensively. You're not making first downs, 3 and out. Puts pressure on your defense. Defense has played really well since then. We got to tackle a little better, and we can make plays there. Offensively, 2 turnovers and 2 15-yard penalties. Post snap penalties that we can't afford to have. We stopped ourselves. Let's go see if we can put 30 minutes together playing the kind of offense we're capable of playing.
You mentioned the turnovers. What was your message to the team here at half?
I can't hear the...
What was your message to the team here at half?
Well, at halftime, I said, welcome to ACC football. Every week, here we go, 10 games. This is how it's going to be. This is what you have to do to earn victories. Let's see how we do that.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Tom, back to you.
Now, Tom, it's a young football team now, no question about it. So he has to remind them of what they got to do each and every moment as he coaches them through this season.
And we take a look at Dave's keys to the game as we revisit those keys that we offered prior to the start of the game. And Dave, size it up between BC and Duke halfway through.
Well, we were talking about BC on both sides of the ball physically. They've gotten it done defensively. Sack, interception, turn the ball over deep in the territory with a fumble recovery. The offensive line still has not gotten necessarily on track. And for Duke, stay on schedule. Hey, 5 of 7 on third down. That tells you you're staying in good, manageable situations to keep the chains moving. They were able to do that after what Coach Cutt was talking about in those first 2 drives that were sloppy. They kind of got themselves rolling a little bit.
Yeah, that fumble inside the 5-yard line cost Duke some points as Valdez fell on it for Boston College. 182 total yards for the Blue Devils. 109 total yards for BC in the first half.
Didn't you? I love the interview there that Lindsey just did with Cutt, because he almost kind of put you in the locker room with him right there. He said, hey, welcome to ACC football. This is the way it's going to be for 10 weeks. Well, get ready. This is what you have. That's what he's talking about in the locker room. Now, sure, there's some specific adjustments they want to make offensively and defensively, but when he steps up and now starts talking to the entire team, that's what he's saying to him. He's saying, listen, this is the way it's going to be. Settle in. Let's go play 30 minutes of our kind of football. I referenced the fact he doesn't like penalties. No coach does, but he references these yards that are hidden yards, and they hurt his football team. They have to play well in all 3 phases.
Yeah, great conversation with the coach during the week, David. He said he was very proud of the way his team came out and competed against Notre Dame in a situation where there were some folks in the stands at Notre Dame, so they even appreciated the boos that they got just to get some sort of sound in that stadium a week ago. No fans being allowed into our stadium today, but there is that constant soundtrack of the music and some crowd noise being artificially utilized in our game today. Levy is the deep man, and the kickoff from Charlie Ham. There will be no return as the ball bounds through the end zone on this natural grass surface here at Wallace Wade Stadium.
I thought Lindsey's visit with Coach Hafley as he went at halftime was pretty cool too, as he talked about how he loves how tough his quarterback was. Next time somebody comes at you, run over him. I mean, that's kind of the toughness that they kind of portray and really live at BC. And this big quarterback, I thought, afforded himself pretty well in the first half. His first half of football as a starter in a Power 5 team.
BC was the top rushing offense a season ago, but in that first half, 23 carries for 19 yards as a team on the ground, and they'll start from their own 25 in the third quarter. Not a lot on the carry for Bailey.
And what Duke is doing now is they kind of were vanilla in the first drive, and that was the drive where BC went right down the field and scored. Since then, they've been walking people around. Rumpf in particular, he's a defensive end, listed as a D end, outside linebacker, but they've got him lined up over the center. They've got him in the A gap. Number 96 wandering around all over the place for Duke.
3 yards on first down. Kovic throws, complete to Levy. Trying to turn that corner past the 35-yard line and up to the 38 for Levy. Carter forced him out, but he got a first down and 10 yards for Levy.
Yeah, really a poor pursuit angle here by Carter, because he gets fooled by Levy's speed. See Levy step on the ground, step on the accelerator. Is that Gilbert or Carter out there on the outside? Just underestimated the speed of Levy. Levy got to the edge for the first down.
Jurkovec was 6 of 11 with 1 interception and 90 yards passing in the first half. Was sacked 4 times by Duke. Up the middle, David Bailey. 5 yards on the carry from Bailey. Shaka Hayward on the stop for Duke.
That's a good first down push, and that's what they're looking for. Coach Hafley wants that offensive line coming off the ball and pushing people around. It's not a very big defensive front for Duke. Ben Fry, who's playing the nose tackle spot right now, just 260-pound player, so they've got a huge size advantage from their offensive line.
Bailey again.
The guy I just mentioned, Ben Fry, 260-pound nose tackle. Watch him play off the block here. Getting double team, splits the double team, and then fronts up the back, wraps him up, and a number of Blue Devils come in and help make the play. And just a 1-yard pickup. That's a nice play by an undersized player playing in the interior.
Coach Cutcliffe, during our conversation, singled out Ben Fry. Dave said this guy has made significant strides to his level of ability to this point in the season, very early on, but Blue Devils went a long time without any sort of football drills to get ready for this season, and that pass is too high, looking for Hunter Long.
And that's one that Jurkovec is kind of kicking himself a little bit. He did have a soft corner out there, meaning the corner was off. Had a chance to throw the out route and just airmailed it. Just an inaccurate throw.
So Carlson's in to punt. Josh Blackwell, the deep man. Blue Devils went 129 days in a row without a workout. So they're still trying to get up to speed conditioning-wise. They've done the very best that they can, as everybody has done in this unique 2020 college football season. Blackwell wants the fair catch inside the 10 and makes it successfully. We'll step aside for just a moment after the punt from Carlson. From Wallace Wade Stadium, we've got a 1-point game in the third quarter.
Hey there, I'm Aisha, and my favorite thing about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is how easy you can share them with your friends. They taste fresh, they're crispy, you can taste that every single one is unique. The top tier, best chicken nuggets ever. You guys should put that in the commercial.
Hi, my name is Brian, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A mac and cheese is you can taste the different types of cheeses and the blends that they use, and everything just comes together. It's like a delicate dance. They're like perfection in every bite.
The "You've been dreaming about this car since you were 8" policy from American Family Insurance.
And it's only a 1-point difference. 7-6. Boston College has the lead early in the third quarter. Blue Devils with the football right around their own 8-yard line and trailing 7-6 to the visiting Eagles, who are 8-2 when starting the season on the road since 1996. Solid record away from Chestnut Hill. Bryce. Pass is incomplete. Looked like a catchable ball, Dave, but the ball falls to the turf. Philyaw Johnson couldn't hang on.
Yeah, that was pretty hot coming in for Damon Philyaw Johnson. Kind of made his wares as a returner. They want him on the field more as a receiver to see if they can't use some of the explosiveness on offense.
2nd and 10. A lot of window dressing there, Dave, and not a lot to show for it. Deion Jackson tackled.
Well, it's a good play by Deion Jackson, too, Tom, because he keeps his leverage to the outside. There's no place for Deion to go, or Deion Jackson to go, because Deion Jones, let's see how the leverage, see how he keeps that outside shoulder up outside of the runner, never loses his leverage, turns him back to the inside and makes the play.
Loss of 1 and 3rd and 11 now. Jackson, who ran for 52 yards in the loss at Notre Dame a week ago. Bryce from his end zone. Up near the 15. A lunging attempt at it. BC took it back. DeBerry was playing against the receiver, and he took it away.
Yeah, he and Philyaw Johnson went up for the catch, and it'll be, officials are talking, was Johnson on the ground before DeBerry took the ball away from him? But this will be close.
First down.
But called on the field as a interception slash fumble, however you want to call this. Let's take a look at this. Here's Philyaw Johnson, 85. DeBerry pedals back. Now let's look. Boy, really hard to tell there when the ball was exchanged from a possession standpoint. This will give us a better look.
Recovered by the defense is under further review.
We're going to take a look at it as we thought they might.
Yeah, they said it was a fumble recovered by the defense.
No, there it is. The ball is out, it looks like to me, before Philyaw Johnson is on the ground. What a play by DeBerry, the young corner.
So as they review the play, could be an INT for BC, deep in Blue Devil territory.
Get your outdoor project.
Hey there, I'm Aisha, and my favorite thing about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is how easy you can share them with your friends. They taste fresh, they're crispy, you can taste that every single one is unique. The top tier, best chicken nuggets ever. You guys should put that in the commercial.
Hi, my name is Brian, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A mac and cheese is you can taste the different types of cheeses and the blends that they use, and everything just comes together. It's like a delicate dance. They're like perfection in every bite.
You've been dreaming about this car since you were 8 policy from American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
So it was Chase Bryce from his own end zone, and Boston College making the play defensively, able to wrestle it away from the receiver on the way down, Dave.
Yeah, I just don't think he ever established it as a catch. Subsequently, as DeBerry rips it out, it becomes an interception in my mind.
So the official word, Dave, is that it was a catch because they reviewed the review. That's exactly what happened. It was a catch and then ruled officially a fumble, but either way it was going to be a turnover for Boston College. It's third of the game, but this one is way deep in Blue Devil territory.
Yeah, golden opportunity here now. This is what you're hoping for. And so now Duke defensively has one of these short field situations. Again, another scenario you work on in practice, but how much have you had a chance to work on it here in this odd year? But a sudden change, short field situation for both teams.
So Boston College now has entered the CPI security red zone, right at the 12-yard line. After the play by DeBerry, taking it away from the receiver. Into the line with Bailey. Close to the 5. They're going to take that ball back to the 7 and put it there.
Yeah, good surge on the interior part of the offensive line. And really, you're trying to get a hat on a hat if you can. And if you get a hat on a hat, you've got a 240-pound back that's coming downhill. It's going to be very difficult to make an arm tackle with an offensive lineman locked onto you.
2nd and 5. They can still get a first down near the 2. This is Bailey in tight quarters, and not a whole lot available as the clock continues to roll. 10:45 and on down.
Yeah, Rocky Shelton does a good job of winning and getting to the point of attack before they could get a block on the linebacker to limit that game. All you told your defense was to come in, get me a stop, force them to kick a field goal. And obviously on the other side, Coach Hafley saying, hey, here's our opportunity to seize control or seize the lead, or extend our lead.
So 3rd and 5 for Boston College.
Drakovic's ability to run comes into play here down deep in the red zone.
First down marker down by the 2. Drakovic out of the pocket. He spun down. What a play, that Duke defense, and Victor Dimukeji. Another sack.
Boy, they had a host of players around, but what they did is they forced him into the middle of the pocket. That's where all the defenders are. And you got Jordan there. You've got Dimukeji's there. Rump's there. Excellent job. And what a stop by the Duke defense to come in and shut the door and make BC kick a field goal.
Be a 24-yard attempt for Longman. 24 yards away. Longman adds 3 points on the board for Boston College to take a 10-6 lead.
That's a win for Duke. There's no way Boston College is going to the sideline excited about kicking a field goal after taking the ball over at the 12-yard line.
So it was the play for Boston College, and DeBerry takes it away from the receiver. Philyaw Johnson, BC turns it into 3, 10-6 Eagles.
The A in Chick-fil-A is for A game. My least favorite word is just. If ever you hear the word just, whatever comes behind it is not going to be somebody's A game. And you never hear that at Chick-fil-A. It's in our DNA to do everything as best we can.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A stands for a higher standard for yourself in your store. And it's really natural to me to try and make connections with customers that are deeper than just, hi, how are you? Like, how's your family or how are your kids too? That really makes their day.
The You've Been Dreaming About This Car Since You Were 8 policy from American Family Insurance.
ACC football is presented by CPI Security. Into the third quarter between Boston College and Duke. 24-yard field goal from Danny Longman makes it 10-6. After what was ruled a completion and then fumble by Philyaw Johnson. DeBerry got it, and BC turned it into 3.
Is that one of those ones where they review it, Tom, later on? It's like a guy hits a grounder to third, and it's, yeah, that was count that a hit.
Dave, I got my hands full with what's in front of me right now, okay?
I just wonder if we're going to get that reviewed like midweek and say, no, that was interception.
Technically, it was the review of the review.
Yeah.
So
I just wonder if we're going to get a
Dave,
reboot on that.
It fits 2020, doesn't it?
That's right.
By the way, it's great to see you again, Dave Archer.
You too, bud.
We haven't worked together in quite some time. I noticed on the schedule, Dave, that Pittsburgh and Syracuse were playing. You remember our game we did in 2016 between those two teams?
How could you forget? Wait a minute. Wait for it. Syracuse has scored again.
137 points between the teams. Right now, it's just 14-10, according to my scoreboard, with Pittsburgh ahead. All right, here we go. Duke return, Philyaw Johnson. Ooh, spun down past the 20.
Safety Deion Jones coming up and make a play on special teams. Let's take a look at this return. This is a dangerous return guy, one of the best in the country, second in the nation a year ago, 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, but so far BC has not given him a lot of breathing room on these returns. Big hit.
Guy who averaged over 32 yards per return on kickoffs last season. Closing in on 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. Tom Wormy, Dave Archer, Lindsey Rowley, and our outstanding ACC college football production crew with you. Jackson. You heard that pop on the hit from Richardson way up here, Dave.
Yeah,
I think even if there was a crowd, we still would have heard that one.
I think you're right. Let's take a listen to these linebackers flow and make the play. Gotta love it. The sounds of football.
Isaiah McDuffie also in on the play. He's got an interception in this game. That's the first turnover that Boston College has converted into points. They had 2 turnovers in the first half, but did not score off of them. They got the field goal just a moment ago after what was technically called a fumble recovery.
Changed a lot of people out defensively. Get their pass rushers in the game.
3 of 10 on third down for Boston College. Duke 5 of 8. Bryce just lofts it and floats it, and it's complete to Noah Gray.
Oh my goodness!
You'd think they've been teammates for 4 years on that play.
Yeah, this is straight out of your backyard right here. There's nothing to say, hey, I'm going to loop it up. Can you see it and go get it? And he did. How about that? Noah Gray, probably that receiver maybe that Chase Bryce trusts the most. Had 5 for 68 a week ago, and he's hit him a couple times today, too.
Yeah, they got 14 yards on the play. This is also to Gray near the 45. By the way, Gray's backyard is Leominster, Massachusetts. And the senior for the Blue Devils, back-to-back catches.
He's had a couple of really good blocks today in the screen game, too. So a guy they depend on for a lot of stuff.
4 catches for Gray in the game. There's room up the middle. Deion Jackson, second level. And inside the 40 of Boston College, Jones had to make the play. 15 yards on the run, Deion Jackson.
Well, let's take a look at this. Going to pull the backside offensive lineman. Here's the key block right here to create the crease. And Deion Jackson gets up the field, pulled those 2 backside offensive linemen to create that crease in the middle of the defense.
By the way, he's wearing number 4 this year. That's a change from number 25 last year. 4 was his high school number. So he's trying to turn back the clock for some high school magic and putting that number 4 back on.
I like it.
Leading returning rusher. Although this is a 5 receiver set on 2nd and 9 for Chase Bryce. Got rid of it. There was pressure. The pass is too far ahead as Max Richardson was bearing down on Bryce, and Bobo was the intended receiver.
Sorry, Tom. Most of the time they jump into this empty set. What Boston College's counter is they're going to bring 5, which means it's going to isolate every offensive lineman up front with a one-on-one block. And Richardson, they're adding to the mix, and he's coming off the edge.
115 yards through the air for Bryce after throwing for 259 in the loss at Notre Dame last week. 3rd and 9. Wants to throw. Does so and completed to 25, and that's enough for a first down to Jake Bobo.
Boy, nice job of driving the ball again. Duke going to come with more, or BC going to come with more than Duke can handle. Watch Bryce stand in there. See, they're bringing extra rushers. He's going to almost eats another shot, but stands in there strong and gets the ball to Bobo. Good, solid inside breaking route. The dig route took a big hit at the end of it.
14 yards on the play for Duke and a first down. Out into the flat, Jackson. Turns it at the 30. Shimmy shake at the 20. And down to the 18. Deion Jackson. Silla had the tackle for Boston College.
Caught him in man coverage, and number 14, Max Richardson, has a long way to go to try to stay with the speedy Jackson. Just can't quite get there. It allows Jackson to get up the field for a nice first down pickup.
Second and 3. Fake it to Durant. Bryce all by his lonesome. Richardson tried the strip there, it looked like.
He did. They played him a lot on the edge. He's considered a middle backer, but they've walked him up on the edge quite a bit, and they're using him as part of that 5-man rush. But again, Richardson, this is the second time we've seen him stay at home waiting for that bootleg or cutback play, and he's right where he's supposed to be.
Led the team in tackles for loss and overall tackles. Richardson for BC a season ago. Once again, Bryce. First man through was Durant, and Richardson was able to get in the way of Bryce.
This is just the old zone read. I say old because it's been around now for several years, but probably should have handed that ball off because Richardson again stayed at home. He's having an outstanding day at linebacker for BC.
So Charlie Hamm is in for the field goal, the redshirt freshman from Atlanta, Georgia. Was 2 for 2 a week ago against Notre Dame. Jackson Hubbard will hold. Missed it off to the right. So far for Hamm, a forgettable day. The miss on the field goal and also an extra point miss. And that from 35 yards away.
Well, this becomes a bit of an issue now. You got a young quarterback or young kicker. This is his second miss today, and now it begins to weigh on you a little bit, and it begins to weigh a little bit on the coach that's making a decision to send him out there. Might consider going for it.
Yeah, and they're replacing the All-ACC kicker, A.J. Reed. David Cutcliffe, what a job he has done. Dave, when you look at the numbers, they are absolutely staggering. Pre-Cutcliffe and since he's taken over this Duke football program.
The 12 years prior to Cut coming in, they had 8 ACC wins. You see the numbers there, but I'm just going to add to it. Since the 12 years since he came in, 34 ACC wins. They had 8 in the prior 12 years, 34 of the last 12 years. He has been unbelievable for this program.
13th year as the head coach, 72 wins against 80 losses overall. BC slings it out, passes complete. Flowers up the sideline, right in front of the Duke bench area.
How about that line of blockers, personal protectors?
Entourage, Dave?
All the offensive line are going to go all the way out to the left, and Zay Flowers is going to get in behind him and just going to get him the ball. And now you're just trying to set up a punt return. Get everybody blocked here. And frankly, I thought he was going to get more out of it than he actually did. It ended up being a nice play for him, but that was pretty cool design.
Looked like Vincent Chase with the entourage there. Flowers on the previous play. That's a one-handed grab at the 35 with a flag out. Hunter Long makes the catch.
What a grab by Hunter Long. Had his left arm pinned to his side. Do have a flag down where you have to take a look at it. Look at the left arm get pinned to the side of Hunter Long here.
Defense, number 0. That penalty is declined. Results of the play. First down.
Marquise Waters holding on to the left arm, and he just, okay, I'll use this arm. What a nice play. I think the two tight ends, if you had to go down to, now Zay Flowers has made some plays, but I think if you ask the two quarterbacks, Hunter Long for BC and Noah Gray for Duke, are probably the two trusted guys out there they want to try to throw the football to.
3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Garwo is the back for BC, but Jurkovic wants to throw. Is complete, 25-yard line. Flowers sidesteps a man down the sideline and breaking past the 10. Zay Flowers as Blackwell made the tackle.
Well, what a good job by BC to swell up against the blitz. Duke's bringing a ton of players up the field. The quarterback, slot receiver Flowers breaks to the outside against man coverage. And then how about the run after the catch? We've already seen it today from Zay Flowers in the first drive of the game. Gives us another taste, and he punches it inside the 10-yard line.
27 yards on the play, and first and goal, Boston College with 1.5 minutes to go in our third quarter. Jurkovic got away from a man, back of the end zone, the leaping grab. Hunter Long has the touchdown for Boston College.
Well, these are the kind of plays that you're looking for if you're Coach Hafley. This is an athletic play by a quarterback. He's going to get he gets cut off on the bootleg right here. He steps back inside, and he looks for his favorite target, the tight end Hunter Long along the end line. But that's just a nice play. That's a football play being made by a guy that's just kind of learning how to play at this level.
Longman for the extra point. And that's no good. So 16-6 BC. Longman had connected on a 24-yard field goal earlier. And now 9 yards long, back of the end zone, Jurkovic.
Wants the back in the flat, but he feels like he can get back to the inside. It's just a beautiful athletic play, and then he finds Hunter Long along the end line. Nice long by Long adjusts his route. This is just, again, we've seen a couple of backyard-type plays that you'd have. You got a bunch of buddies together, start slinging the ball around. That's another one. And it has not been a good day for the kickers today. Kickers have struggled putting it through the big yellow things, but Hunter Long, nice play.
Got a piece of the pipe, but it went the wrong direction after it hit the
I'm
upright.
pretty sure you're not supposed to bank it, but if that's what he was trying to do.
If it comes down to it today, they'll take it, right?
Yeah.
What an interesting game. And Boston College controlling the second half thus far.
Well, Hunter Long with two big plays in that drive, had the one-handed catch that pushed the ball deep in Duke territory, and then, of course, the scramble play where he gets free along the end line for the touchdown.
Phil Johnson on a return out near the 20-yard line, rather, for Duke.
Feed the whole family with a big bow box. It's bow time.
16-6, Boston College.
You kidding me?
Yes, on that delivered to the broadcast position here. Wallace Wade State. The improvements that have been made, obviously, it's been well documented, Dave, but this is just a fantastic facility. And sometimes you'll look at the TV screen and you'll say, wow, that's nice artificial surface. No, that is real grass out there. That is fit for any major championship fairway on the PGA Tour, as far as I'm concerned.
You're right about that.
Blue Devils, they toss it wide. Durant cut down near the 25-yard line. Mateo Durant, he's got the TD run for Duke today. Deion Jones made sure he went no further. Second and 5. They'll try the other side. And the result is less than pleasing to David Cutcliffe from Shore as Durant got cut down. DeBerry shaken up slightly and still down on the turf.
Yeah, DeBerry made the play earlier in the game on the interception. He does an excellent job of keeping his outside shoulder free. Knifes in. Looked like he may have taken maybe a knee to the head there or to the shoulder. This is just a really good play by the young corner, though, to see how he keeps that outside shoulder free, which gives him the ability to leverage the runner, and then makes a play, a tackle for loss.
Now, loss of 3 on the play, but the training and medical staff attending to Josh DeBerry. DeBerry, the sophomore from Michigan. So they'll take a look at him. 16-6, Boston College lead late in the third.
Weekends were made for the outdoors, and Fox Sports Wisconsin gets you ready for all of your outdoor adventures.
The A in Chick-fil-A is for A game. My least favorite word is just. If ever you hear the word just, whatever comes behind it is not going to be somebody's A game. And you never hear that at Chick-fil-A. It's in our DNA to do everything as best we can.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A stands for a higher standard for yourself in your store. And it's really natural to me to try and make connections with customers that are deeper than just, hi, how are you? Like, how's your family or how are your kids, too? That really makes their day.
Let's remember this time where none of us felt secure and fight for a future where everyone can. Because when the world seems like it's standing still, that's the perfect time for us to change it.
Yeah, and they'll go in and check him, make sure that from a concussion standpoint he's okay, but he certainly looked good, jogged off the field, and he was great.
Brandon Sebastian, number 10, in place of DeBerry. Pressure, Bryce able to hold his ground, but the pass is incomplete.
Let's take a look at this. Just good pressure again, under pressure, Chase Bryce, and then was able to an inaccurate throw, and that's really kind of what BC's been able to do is kind of, if they keep Bryce under duress, then he's had a tough time. They let him sit in the pocket, he's cut him up.
Lead is deep. This is a wobbler off to the right, and it'll bounce out of bounds. We're going to mark that one at the 38 or so, maybe 39, in there somewhere. On the punt from Wilson, which was 38 yards.
Well, you kind of start to get the feel here, Tom, that this is kind of a momentum moment right now. It feels like BC kind of has the momentum of the game. And if they can put together another solid drive like the last one and put points on the board, it's really going to put Duke behind the 8 ball, because Duke has been very inconsistent on offense in their ability to execute. So BC with an opportunity, I think, to maybe seize control of the game.
First and 10, BC. Dracovic unloads. He's got a wide open man, and it's Flowers. All by his lonesome, and he heads to the end zone. 61 yards on the BC touchdown connection.
Well, Zay Flowers now well over 100 yards. He's here going to run the post, but what happens to the back end as they commit to take away the run game? Nobody in the center of the field. Just an outstanding route by Zay Flowers, and boy, nobody in the same neighborhood. He has had a monster day now, Tom. 162 yards. The last 100-yard receiver for BC was Kobe White all the way back in 2018 against Florida State. Been a long time coming, but Zay Flowers has been a monster this year.
Kobe White is out with a knee injury. 61 yards on the play, Dave, and those numbers you mentioned, career highs for Zay Flowers.
Just an outstanding route. It looked like the corner might have peeked back in the backfield, but Zay Flowers with an excellent route came off, little stick move to the outside and then to the post, and nobody home for Duke. 5 grabs, 162, career highs in both. And of course, as I mentioned, it's been a long time since they've had since a receiver's exploded like this for BC. And what the confidence level now for Jurkovec. 2 touchdown passes in the last 2 series. Now really starting to get his feet wet and really starting to feel good about how he's playing.
How about this third quarter for Boston College? The only thing that's gone wrong is a missed extra point. Otherwise, Longman had a 24-yard field goal. Long had a 9-yard TD catch from Jurkovec, and then 61 yards Jurkovec to Zay Flowers. Well, now it's 23-6 Boston College.
Yeah, and this becomes a huge drive now for Duke. They cannot afford to go out there and not do anything on offense because Boston College has clearly seized control of the game.
Won't be a return from Duke. So, Dave, you mentioned it. David Cutcliffe, he's at the controls of the offense. Where does he go now? Trailing 23-6, and BC has dominated this third quarter with a couple of TDs and a field goal.
Well, you certainly don't have to give up on the run game, but you got to be able to get into your offense. They want to run tempo, so you can still run the football if you want to, but you've got to move the chains. And the thing that Duke has had a tough time with here in the second half is being able to extend drives and stay on the field.
1:26 to go in the third. Bryce throws complete up near midfield. That's Dennis Smith.
Excellent protection. That time just a 4-man pass rush, and I don't think BC will stay that way. BC has had a lot of success when they've gone to 5- and 6-man pressures, and Chase Bryce just has not been able to get the ball to his receivers. Just a 4-man rush that time. Pretty easy throw and catch.
22 yards on the previous play. This up near midfield and caught by Calhoun, a sophomore from Greenville, South Carolina.
Now you can get into your tempo that Coach Cutcliffe wants to use. Kind of start dictating to the defense a little bit. Not as many calls coming in defensively.
Second and 7. Juggling attempt.
Well, he caught it. He's caught it out of bounds. Bobo along the sideline. Didn't really save a lot of room. Chase Bryce kind of throwing it right at him. It's a big-time grab, but he just didn't quite have enough time to keep that foot down.
Brandon Sebastian was there, number 10 for Boston College in maroon and gold.
Yeah, now BC now with it slowed down has gone more to a pressure look up front, and they're hugging up on the receivers. They're coming.
Third down from midfield for Duke. This pass complete for first down yardage inside the 40. Dennis Smith on a precise route for 11 yards.
Boy, that's an excellent route, too. He had a corner up close, was able to win inside on the slant, and win clean and early for Chase Bryce.
Bryce again. Put some air under this one. So close to a grab for Calhoun. Tried to make the over-the-shoulder grab deep in BC territory.
Wow, this is a perfect throw. Show the slant and run the slot on a go route around the outside. Ball well thrown by Chase Bryce. Boy, these are plays that haunt you when you go to sleep at night on a Saturday night after your football game.
Calhoun just could not haul it in. Second and 10, waning moments of the third quarter. A rush to the Duke sideline. Jackson, correction on the run.
Well, Jordan Waters, the freshman, got a chance to carry the football.
Yeah, from Fairmont, North Carolina. That is the last play of the quarter, dominated by Boston College. They head to the fourth here at Wallace Wade Stadium with a 23-6 lead over the Duke Blue Devils.
Ever wonder where the capital A in Chick-fil-A came from? It started with grade A, top quality chicken. But we believed everything, not just the food, should be grade A. A is for all the little things we do to bring you our best every day.
The A in Chick-fil-A means a loving, caring team. We're all very supportive of each other. It goes beyond being a team. It's like a family, you know? I definitely can't imagine working anywhere but Chick-fil-A ever, especially right now.
The "you've been dreaming about this car since you were 8" policy from American Family Insurance.
Boston College with 16 straight points in the third quarter to take the 23-6 lead over the Blue Devils. They're dominating on the ground, but look at BC through the air. 241 yards and 61 of them coming on the TD connection. Jerkovic all the way to Flowers and to the end zone.
Yeah, I think if I told you BC had 33 yards rushing, it was 3 for 10 on third down, you'd say, okay, well, this is a Duke football game. But no, it's been BC through the air and their ability to take the football away.
Jerkovic, the transfer from Notre Dame, Boston College, top rushing offense a season ago. Relying on the throw game so far today. Bryce wants to throw it, and that's incomplete, looking for Bobo.
Yeah, just an inaccurate throw there. If you're going to play, they're going to rush 5. They're going to play man on the perimeter, and you guys are going to win to the inside on the slant. The ball's got to be down in that numbers area or in the waist area so you can cradle the ball in because you got a defender on your back. Just an inaccurate throw by Chase Bryce there.
290 total yards for the Blue Devils through 3 quarters.
Can you see BC up, trying to show pressure? See if they back out. No, they come.
That pass caught near the 25 and then down to the 20. Noah Gray with the defender all over him.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they played man coverage on me, I would wear the defender out that's playing on Noah Gray. He's got a big catch radius over on your right side of your screen. See, that ball was thrown a little bit behind him. He still reels it in. I'd fill him up against man coverage.
13 yards, previous play. Bryce, end zone, and it's too far. 87, Noah Gray.
Little shot play there. They were trying to make it look like it was a halfback pass where Jackson bellied out like he had the football. Bryce still had it, and they were trying to run Noah Gray up on a wheel route like he was the personal protector for Jackson. And so a little shot play there, something you put in for the red zone.
10th play of the drive for the Blue Devils. Bryce uncorks it inside the 10. That one caught by Bobo, and that's going to be first and goal as he beats Sebastian in the secondary for BC.
Yeah, well-thrown ball. Again, this ball's back to the inside. Look where the ball placement is here. Right there in that catch radius, right there on the hands and the face or the numbers area. Well-thrown ball.
14 yards on that last play. Bryce fakes one way, throws the other, incomplete. Even though he just threw an incomplete pass to Dennis Smith, this does have the look of one of the quality drives that they did put together on the road at Notre Dame a week ago, Dave.
Yeah, Dennis Smith going to have to give a little bit more to the corner there to create some separation. I think he's just running to the inside, and that's pretty easy for Elijah Jones just to shadow him and run to the inside, keep that inside leverage. Little outside fake and then get to the inside, create some separation.
Second and goal. They're going to run it inside the 5. That is Jackson on the run. Senior from Atlanta, Georgia.
Again, good surge up front by the offensive line. Come off, give Jackson some room. Just straight downhill running.
Mike Palmer wrestled him to the turf.
You got Noah. Noah is in the slot to Chase Bryce's left. He's right down here.
Third and goal. Bryce lost the football. Still loose. Eagles say they have it, and the officials agree. Boston College recovers the fumble by Bryce. Deion Jones on that football for the Eagles.
Well, just trying to do a little bit too much. Watch as he was wrapped up, trying to create something that wasn't there. But again, BC comes with pressure. Bootleg, defender right in his face. Ball comes out. And, of course, BC ends up on top of it. But at that point, you got to minimize your damage if you're Chase Bryce. You just got to swallow the ball and take the sack and kick a field goal.
How about Deion Jones? Made the hit to jar the ball loose, Dave, and then comes up with it for the Eagles. Turnover number 4.
Well, that's the story of the game. Duke has moved the football some in this game. Just have turned the ball over. That's 2 times they've turned the ball inside the red zone.
That offense was moving along. Deep into BC real estate for Duke, and coming up empty once again. And when they look back at the review of this game, they will certainly point to those turnovers in critical positions on the field for the Blue Devils. And a loss of 3 on the play for Boston College.
Good play by Carter there against the screen, creates a tackle for loss. And, you know, hey, Duke has the same opportunities now to create a turnover for themselves. Let's see how close to the vest Coach Hafley plays this deep in his own territory with the lead.
Blue Devils do have an interception from Gilbert today, which they turned into a touchdown, a long TD run from Mateo Durant. Jurkovec on the play action, up near the marker, short of the 25-yard line to Hunter Long. Boy, that is really close.
We got 2 of the best tight ends, I think, in the business doing it today. Here's Hunter Long again, defender right on his back, and most of the time it's not a linebacker covering him, it's a defensive back, and they're winning against defensive backs. A little bit bigger bodies, bigger catch radius, but they've done a nice job of shielding off those little defenders and catching the football. Both Long and Gray have been outstanding.
Yeah, he had 13 yards that total for Phil Jurkovec, 13 of 19. He's up to 251 yards in his first game in a Boston College uniform, and he's got a couple of TD passes. Both coming in the third quarter. Trying to elude the rush, and he won't be able to do it. Take it down.
Talked about Chris Rumpf and his ability to, they move him around a lot, and he finally got free and was able to put the big quarterback on the ground. This time Rumpf just comes off the edge. Really no exotics to this one. He'd been lined up in the middle some, just off the edge. Nobody accounts for him, and he puts the quarterback on the ground. So makes a nice play right there to force now a 2nd and long situation, and those are the kind of things that you need to have happen. But good job by Jurkovec there. Take care of the football.
Loss of 7 on the play. Thanks to the play by Rumpf. 2nd and 17. Jurkovec with a blocker, past the 30. Woods made the play to stop Jurkovec.
You see who the lead blocker on the play was? I've been talking about the multiplicity of these tight ends. Hunter Long gets out in front right here. The guy we just saw make a catch to extend the drive. He gets the block there that gets Jurkovec to the first down marker. Tell you what, these 2 tight ends have really been impressive.
That's old school. When you grab the shirt of the blocker in front of you, Dave, and I can hear the NFL Films music right now. 17 yards on that previous play.
Had a little Paul Hornung attached to it, didn't
I like that reference.
The number 5? How about the number 5 also?
1st and 10, Boston College. Jurkovec. Pass was complete. Not a huge gain there. In fact, they're going to lose 2 on the catch by Long as Waters came up to meet him.
Yeah, good play by Waters. He's playing in the middle of the defense, comes down into that midsection and finds the tight end. They know that Long is a big-time target.
You can tell that Jurkovec is starting to get a little more comfortable with things. He's been very productive in the third quarter, and his mannerisms look like he's got a better handle of things out there.
To me, he's settled in and he's just playing football now. Before he was thinking and didn't want to make a mistake. Now he's just kind of settled in. And, hey, I know this game. I remember this game.
Garwell was his back. They'll give it to him.
Works Landroid Robotic Lawnmower. Available at mylandroid.com. The future of lawn care is here.
Just a yard on the rush from Pat Garwell.
You're not home a lot, do you? Because you're traveling with PJ. Well, you're not home with the PJ Tour. You're doing that. You're doing football. Do you have one of those robotic lawnmowers?
No, I don't. Maybe I should invest in that, Dave.
Yeah, I think you should. You know,
need to work some sort of
mode. Your son's off at school.
Yeah,
I mean, what are you going to do?
Endorsement deal or something. Jurkovec got away from the pressure. Rumpf was there at his ankles. Throws it to midfield, and that ball is caught beyond midfield. C.J. Lewis from Hamden, Connecticut.
Well, Jurkovec does a good job of staying alive here, Tom. And here's the big-bodied quarterback. We see it happen in the National Football League. The Ben Roethlisbergers of the world, they just kind of shake off the arm tackle, stays alive, and then that's what kills secondaries. If you can buy time as a quarterback, extend the play, coverage will break down. And Jurkovec found an open receiver in Lewis.
And that was a 19-yard play and a first down. Boston College on the Duke side of the 50. Up the middle, sidesteps one man, David Bailey.
Well, David Bailey, a guy we thought was going to be a major factor in this game, and was in the opening drive. Had a good 10-yard run to start the game. Had a screen pass where he ripped off about 15 or 20 and then punched it in from 1 or 2 yards out in that opening drive. He really has been taken away by this Duke defense. It's been Jurkovec and his receivers, tight end Hunter Long and Zay Flowers, that have done the damage.
Bailey got 5 yards on that rush. Coach Hafley has to be pleased with what he's seen. First year as a head coach at the collegiate level, a lot of pro experience. Defensive coordinator at Ohio State a season ago. And Coach Jeff Hafley actually got his start as a college coach and his first job in Massachusetts at Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Mass.
Is that where you originally enrolled?
He was an assistant. I could never get in there, Dave. He was an assistant there, but we had that in common.
I figured there was a Tom Wormy tie.
His first coaching action in Worcester, the first game I ever called in college football was Worcester Polytechnic Institute against the United States Merchant Marine Academy. I'm sorry, Merchant Marine Academy.
There's the tie. I knew it came back to Tom Wormy.
That is the throwback. Jurkovec out of trouble, trying to stay on top on the throw, and it's Long with a diving grab inside the 10. Hunter Long for BC.
You got to be kidding me. These guys are weaving magic like we haven't seen since Doug Flutie played. I mean, how about this play? Jurkovec just kind of wandering around in the backfield, and he finds his big tight end down the field. And how accurate was the throw? Right on the money as Long reels it in for a monster play.
35 yards on the play, and Drew Jordan from Duke, number 2, Dave, was right in his face after he delivered that pass play all the way to Long.
7 grabs now for Long.
And that includes a TD catch for Long in the third quarter as well. Jurkovec looking, pursued, flag is out, back of the end zone. Now it's a touchdown, but there is a flag on the play.
Yeah, that's kind of in that holding range, isn't it? But I think they're pointing towards Duke here. Well, what a good job by Jurkovec to realize he got a lot of time. I can let my receiver work the in line.
Yeah, that was Jalen Gill who was in the back of the end zone.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense, number 72. 15-yard penalty remains, first down.
Alec Lindstrom, the center, going to get called for a personal foul here. Just a nice job by, and there you see Lindstrom. Let's see if we can get, just trying to look at, he just kind of threw him down, and then he pile drove him. You used to be able to do that. Now you can't do that anymore. But he threw him on the ground and then decided to go ahead and give him one more lick and dove on top of him. You can't do that with a guy on the ground kind of spearing. But I think Coach Hafley is pleased with the way his offensive line has continued to play with that physicality that he's looking for.
So it's first and goal from the 22. Levy. He got 2 yards. And now 6:20 to go on the clock in the fourth for BC. We told you that they've been good on the road, Dave, since 1996, 8-2 when starting the season on the road. And Coach Hafley trying to continue that tradition.
Yeah, BC comes in have won 6 of their last 7 openers and 13 of their last 16 openers. So they've been pretty good early in seasons, and they're certainly starting off that way again this year.
Yeah, won the opener against Virginia Tech a season ago, 35-28 in Chestnut Hill. Levy, only a yard, to the 19-yard line. Right now, though, if you're BC, you're working that clock, too.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think that the coaches are probably helping Jurkovec do that a little bit by getting the plays in, shuttling in new personnel, delaying things a little bit. But been impressed with the young quarterback from Western Pennsylvania. He's been outstanding today. It's now over 8 minutes on this drive as they eat clock here in the fourth quarter.
The drive now into its 9th minute. Levy is the back. Jurkovec Makes a cut at the 15 and then rolls near the 10. They'll mark it down at the 12.
Coach Cutcliffe's going to burn a timeout here. He's got to save some time because I would imagine BC and now will send their field goal unit in.
So there is a timeout for the Blue Devils with BC up 23-6 and 4:53 to go in our game.
Update the lighting in your home with help from Menards. We carry over 800 light fixtures and a great selection of LED bulbs in stock. Find your style with...
The A in Chick-fil-A is for A game. My least favorite word is just. If ever you hear the word just, whatever comes behind it is not going to be somebody's A game. And you never hear that at Chick-fil-A. It's in our DNA to do everything as best we can.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A stands for a higher standard for yourself and your store. And it's really natural to me to try and make connections with customers that are deeper than just, hi, how are you? Like, how's your family or how are your kids too? That really makes their day.
The You've Been Dreaming About This Car Since You Were 8 policy from American Family Insurance.
College up 23-6 and lining up for a potential field goal as we take a look at today's big bowl moments brought to you by Bojangles.
Well, it's been about turnovers deep. Here Duke has an opportunity to punch one in the end zone. Ball out. Valdez is on top of it. Recovery stops the drive. And then how about deep in your own territory? Turn the football over. BC comes up with another one. Led to a field goal. And then this one just a few moments ago. Chase Bryce fumbles the football with a chance to put a touchdown on the board. And BC comes up with that one as well. Boy, it's been a story of taking the ball away deep in territories, either offensive or defensive territory.
16 straight points in that third quarter for Boston College to take the 23-6 lead. And now this drive, which has chewed up a significant amount of the clock, came off of a fumble as Duke was back in the red zone at the opposite end of the field. Danny Longman, who hit from 24 yards away earlier in the third to give BC a 10-3 lead. This will be a 29-yard attempt for Longman. You want your kicker to be named Longman as he knocks it through. A second made field goal for Longman, and the Eagles improve their lead to 26-6 over the Blue Devils.
After 80 years, we've made it the longest lasting, but only you can forge freedom into the...
Hey, my name is Dante, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A nuggets is the authentic taste of it. You can tell it's freshly breaded, seasoned perfectly, and it just has this unique taste that compares to no other. Once I bite into it,
My name is Meredith, and a little thing I love about Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese is the oven-toasted, cheesy top layer. If home had a flavor, it would be Chick-fil-A's mac and cheese. I'm passionate about it.
The You've Been Dreaming About This Car Since You Were 8 policy from American Family Insurance.
Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it. Your local Ford dealer. And Z-Max Micro Lubricant, available at AutoZone.
Welcome back. Boston College leading Duke 26-6 in the fourth quarter. Well, Duke's Dorian Mayusi not only has a big heart on the field, but off as well. The freshman actually donated all of his graduation money to the Sound Mind, Sound Body Foundation in Detroit, Michigan. The foundation used the money to help with their literacy program, as well as surprise some of the young athletes with new cleats. Such a great story of generosity and maturity from such a young athlete. Guys?
Pretty cool. Mayusi in high school, went to the University of Detroit Jesuit. His senior year, 10 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. They're expecting a lot of that young man on the football field. He's already doing it off the football field.
His team is in a big hole right now, though. Trailing 26-6. That's now 19 straight points by BC and 10 points off of turnovers as Longman kicks it away. 14-play drive for BC. And they used 8.5 minutes on the clock. 26-6. Eagles on the road with the lead in the fourth quarter.
I got this mountain bike for only $11.
The A in Chick-fil-A is for A game. My least favorite word is just. If ever you hear the word just, whatever comes behind it is not going to be somebody's A game. And you never hear that at Chick-fil-A. It's in our DNA to do everything as best we can.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A stands for a higher standard for yourself in your store. And it's really natural to me to try and make connections with customers that are deeper than just, hi, how are you? Like, how's your family or how are your kids too? That really makes their day.
You've been dreaming about this car since you were 8 policy from American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
Eagles and Blue Devils in Durham. Zay Flowers on that 61-yard TD play. BC has forced 4 Duke turnovers. They've got 6 points to show for it from those turnovers. And we're inside of 5 minutes to go in the fourth. Blue Devil football at their own 25. Longman just connecting on a 29-yard field goal. 19 straight points for Boston College, shutting out the Blue Devils in the second half.
I would assume that BC now will shift gears a little bit and go to more of a zone coverage, just rush 4, keep everything in front of them, and make Duke go the long way.
Pass on the run. Short of the 35, Jake Bobo. Sebastian on the tackle.
But Bobo's done a nice job of squeezing the ball. When he's had a chance to catch it, a little stinger there, going to step off the field, shaking that right arm. But what a catch there with tight coverage.
It was 8 yards on the pass play from Chase Bryce. Clemson transfer, deflected. Silla got a piece of it.
Yeah, Silla realized it was a quick throw and just got his hands in the air. That's 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds. Just hard to throw through that. They're trying to throw it through a pine tree.
Jackson weaves his way into BC territory near the 45-yard line. Lamont stopped him.
This is a heck of a tackle because this is going to be a touchdown. Is that Muse, the safety? Looked like Jamin Muse, the safety, made the tackle. He saved a touchdown.
Just on the shoe tops. That pass sails over the head of the intended receiver.
He's had a couple of these, and I think that as he begins to kind of settle in as the quarterback here and gets more and more attempts, not going to have these errant throws, but he's had a couple that have kind of gotten away from him a little bit. Now, he's had people around him, no question about it. And by the time you got defenders around your arm, it tends to screw up your thought process on how to deliver it.
Time to throw. Completion, 35-yard line. Trying to break away was Harding Jr. They got 11 on the play. First down, Duke.
Well, BC just doesn't want to give up chunk plays. They're okay with giving up the 8, 5, 6, 7-yard plays. They just don't want to give up the big chunk plays and allow Duke to get a score quickly.
Bryce felt the pressure. It sails, and it's intercepted. Musey has it up near midfield for Boston College. Turnover number 5 in the game for the Eagles.
Well, and you said it right, Tom. It was the pressure that created this situation. So Duke started to move. BC decided to come with pressure. Here comes the pressure off the edge. The ball sails. And Muse trying to seal it for the BC Eagles.
To me, the A in Chick-fil-A is for available. We can serve you in the drive-thru. We can deliver your food to your house. We have delivery partners, and we have our own delivery system. Home can be wherever you choose. You don't need to go anywhere else. On Sunday, maybe, but that's about it.
The A in Chick-fil-A stands for a connection. Having the opportunity to have a positive connection with the guest, I think is really cool. It is kind of a fun challenge to try to make that person's day. I don't know, it just makes life better. Like, why not?
Many of us are still working from home and sharing the space with our co-workers. Co-workers who borrow supplies and have attended every meeting. A gift can help. And now, when you shop online or pay with contactless using MasterCard at grocery stores, MasterCard will donate to Stand Up to Cancer, 1 precious cent at a time, up to $4 million. So treat your coworker and start something priceless.
Duffy, recovery by Valdez, another interception slash fumble recovery by DeBerry. Gets the adoration of his coach. Stripped there, deep in territory too. BC comes with the fumble recovery, and this one just happened. Watch the pressure coming off the edge, in around the legs of the quarterback. Ball sails, and Muse with the interception. John Muse has got the 5th of the BC turnovers on a 39-yard return there. So I guarantee Dave Cutcliffe goes, hey, listen, guys, after this game, you're not going to win any games turning the ball over 5 times. And they turned it over twice inside the BC 10-yard line.
That expression will tell you from Chase Bryce, not how he had expected the day to go with 3:36 to go in the 4th.
Well, it turns out all of us that actually played quarterback at whatever level have had those kind of days. Now, it's going to be about him bouncing back and showing his leadership and having a good week of practice to get ready for the next one.
It was 7-6 at halftime, but the second half has belonged to the Eagles. David Bailey near midfield, maybe a yard.
Well, say what you want to about, Duke did a good job against the run game and really took away the run game for all ACC offensive linemen, but that transitions to how was the pass protection? Pretty good. They did a good job of providing an opportunity for Djokovic to get the ball down the field to a number of players, namely his tight end, Hunter Long and Zay Flowers.
Flowers' play was 61 yards. Long had a TD catch of 9 yards in the 3rd quarter as well. Stop and start. Garwo inside the 40.
Take a look at the Cubes and how they've handled their business today. And obviously, Djokovic has had the day that you take home and you show the tape to all your family. And Chase Bryce is saying, yeah, let's go ahead and throw this one away. We don't want to keep this one. So good play. Both of them are good players. I think both of them are going to pay huge dividends for their teams. But today, Djokovic has had the best of it.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native. 26-6 is Eagles out in front. Dave documented his prowess as a high school player in Western Pennsylvania. Getting his chance. After transferring from Notre Dame, the handoff is Garwo. 28-yard line. Close to the marker and a first down.
That's a nice run by Garwo, too. He has been standing on the sidelines. Hasn't been playing. Only had 18 carries a year ago, but wow, what a nice little jump step behind a block to get upfield and get another first down. A couple of back-to-back runs for first downs for Garwo.
Not a bad group in the backfield, Dave. Bailey, Levy, and now Garwo for Boston College. Of course, you have to fill the enormous shoes of A.J. Dillon, almost an impossible task as he's on to the next level with Green Bay.
Yes, almost 1,700 yards and 14 touchdowns for A.J. Dillon a year ago.
Over 4,300 career rushing yards for A.J. Dillon of Boston College. Clock continues to tick. 1:15 and rolling from Durham. We were close at halftime, 7-6. Just an extra point difference. But BC had a big 3rd quarter. A field goal and a couple of TD passes from Djokovic.
Well, impressive for Coach Hafley's team, too. This is their first opportunity to step on the field. We talked about how Duke played Notre Dame a week ago. But Coach Hafley's team, you can bet that the things he talked about were, let's take care of the ball, let's not turn the ball over, let's be physical, and let's turn it loose, cut it loose. And they did that. They did all of those things.
Yep, they'll take on Texas State at home next week, as Jeff Hafley never saw it coming. But he will celebrate with his BC players on that far sideline as they go on the road and win here in Durham in the final seconds. Continue to tick off the clock for Duke. It'll be a trip to Virginia. Originally an open week for Duke, but that game rescheduled, and they lost at Virginia a year ago. So the final 10 seconds, and Jeff Hafley has win number 1 as the head coach of the Eagles. 26-6 is going to be the final as they shut out the Blue Devils in the second half and win it by 20. The teams come out. They will acknowledge one another, as is the health and safety protocol in the ACC, and commend one another on a performance hard fought, but the victory belongs to the Eagles today. And Coach Cutcliffe's team drops to 0-2 after the loss at Notre Dame a week ago. And then today here at Brooks Field, Wallace Wade Stadium, to Boston College.
Well, very impressive. His first opportunity to get his team on the field. The people of Chestnut Hill and the Boston area got to be extremely pleased the way they played. Came down, took care of business, took the ball away, controlled the football game. They've got a young quarterback you got to be excited about it, Jerkovic. Coach Hafley's has got some fun stuff to look at this week. And for Duke, Coach Cutcliffe's going to have to go back to the drawing board and get his young football team dialed back in.
I think the term ball security might be thrown around in that Duke locker room a little bit this week. As we go down to Lindsay.
Coach, your very first win as a head coach at the collegiate level. How does it feel to get win number 1?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Kind of unexplainable. Everything these guys have been through, it's awesome. So proud of them and everything they sacrificed. It's hard to put in words. Since coming back in June, quarantining, sacrificing, I love that team, and I'm just so proud of them.
Phil Jerkovic really stepped up in that second half. In what ways did you feel that he settled in as the game went on?
He's just nervous. He hadn't played a lot of football. He hadn't started a game. I told him coming out, I said, this is going to get easier, man. He made some great plays. Offense did a great job in the second half, and our defense was lights out.
Thanks, Coach. Congrats.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
guys.
Lindsay, thank you. And the emotion of win number 1 for Coach Hafley as the Eagles will leave Durham with the victory. Our final score from Wallace Wade Stadium is 26-6. Boston College gets the win. They shut out Duke in the second half. Tune in next week. ACC doubleheader comes your way. Georgia Tech travels north to face Syracuse at noon, followed by Texas State taking on these Boston College Eagles. They're 1-0, and they'll take on Texas State at 6 p.m. next week. For Dave Archer, Lindsay Rowley, and the rest of our production team, I'm Tom Lemon, saying good day from Durham, and it's a good day for the Eagles. They win their first game of the season and the first win for Coach Hafley.